Someday I'll repay you. Please. Annie Brooks never took her eyes off Thomas. I mean it. I don't know when, and I don't know how I'll ever manage it, but if you help me today, someday I will repay you. My mother needs treatment, and I don't have enough for the deposit. Thomas's expression tightened. Not with anger, but with caution. Repay me? He asked. Do you have any idea how many people have said that to me? They promise they'll write. They promise they'll come back. They tell me I changed their lives, and then they disappear. No letter, no phone call, nothing. Annie shook her head quickly. I won't do that. Or perhaps, Thomas said, lowering his voice, people know exactly what to say when they need money. The words settled between them, cold and heavy. Annie looked down at the crumpled plastic bag in her hands. Then, with trembling fingers, she opened it. I'm not saying those things just to get money from you, she said. I swear, this is everything I have left. Every last dollar. I sat in the bathroom and counted it 3 times, because I kept hoping I had made a mistake. She pulled out a small stack of worn bills and pressed them tightly into her palm. This isn't even close to what they're asking for. I know it isn't enough. But my mother is upstairs, and I honestly don't know what else I can do. Miss Brooks? A woman's voice came from behind her. Annie turned. At the financial assistance desk, Mrs. Alvarez was holding Grace Brooks's paperwork in one hand. Behind Annie, the line had grown longer, and several people were beginning to look impatient. I need an answer from you, Mrs. Alvarez said. Are you able to pay the deposit or not? If the required amount is not paid, or financial assistance is not approved, your mother cannot be transferred to the surgical unit for the operation scheduled this evening. Annie hurried back to the desk, still clutching the plastic bag. Please, can't you just let my mother go in first? She pleaded. Let the doctors begin treatment, and I'll find a way to cover the rest. I'll call more people, I'll borrow money. I'll sign anything you need me to sign. Mrs. Alvarez shook her head gently. Your mother has been examined and is currently stable. Dr. Parker is ready to admit her according to the treatment plan, but I do not have the authority to authorize admission without the deposit or approved financial assistance. But my mother has cancer. I understand. Then tell me, Annie said, her voice breaking. How does making her wait help her? Mrs. Alvarez looked down at the computer screen and slowly read from the account summary. The initial deposit required for admission and the scheduled surgery is $12,800. The payments you have already made, together with confirmed assistance, total $7,340. The remaining balance due tonight is $5,460. Annie stood frozen. Mrs. Alvarez lowered the paperwork. Her expression softened slightly, though her voice remained professional. I have to ask you one last time, Miss Brooks. Do you have the remaining $5,460? Annie's fingers tightened around the bag until the plastic crackled in her hands. No, she said, her voice nearly breaking apart. I only have $216 left. That's all. I sold our car. I pawned my mother's ring. I used all the money I had saved for school. I borrowed from people who barely have anything themselves. I don't have another $5,000. Then could you step aside and let the rest of us take care of our business? The man's voice came from the seats behind her. Annie turned. A broad-shouldered man in a work jacket stood there with his wallet already open in his hand, his mouth pulled tight with irritation. The woman beside him turned her face away, visibly embarrassed by him, but he kept going. No one asked you to tell your whole life story, he said. Everyone in here has problems. Telling us how terrible yours are isn't going to make money appear. Annie's face flushed. My mother is waiting for treatment, and standing here talking about your car and your mother's ring isn't treating her, the man replied. If you have the money, pay it. If you don't, stop blocking the desk. Nobody here can help you. No one in line said a word. No one stepped forward. The hospital lobby continued moving around them as though Annie's despair were nothing more than a small sound lost in the machinery of an ordinary day. Elevator bells chimed. Carts rolled across the polished floor. A child coughed into his father's shoulder. Near the entrance, a volunteer pushed an elderly woman in a wheelchair toward the exit. Annie pressed the plastic bag against her chest and stepped away from the desk. Her breathing became quick and shallow. For a brief moment, she looked toward the elevators, as though she could simply go upstairs, sit beside her mother, and pretend she had not failed her. Then she turned back to Thomas. Mr. Whitmore, please. Her voice grew smaller until it was little more than a plea. I know this has nothing to do with you. I know you don't owe me or my mother anything. But you help patients. I've seen your name on the fundraising programs here at the hospital. I've seen you on television talking about people the system has left behind. Thomas said nothing. Annie took one step closer. You don't have to trust me. Don't give me a single dollar. You can pay the hospital directly. You can ask the doctor. Ask the financial department. My mother's name is Grace Brooks. She is upstairs waiting to be admitted for treatment. And the only thing stopping her is money I cannot find. Daniel, the assistant standing beside Thomas, leaned slightly toward him. Our foundation has its own review process, he said quietly. We can arrange for someone to look into this case tomorrow. Annie immediately turned toward Daniel. Tomorrow? She said. I'm begging for tonight. I'm asking you to help tonight, because tonight my mother is still here. I cannot go upstairs and sit beside her bed pretending I did everything I could while I let you walk out that door without even asking for your help. Thomas looked down at the small stack of money in her hand. A $5 bill had been folded into quarters, one corner stained with age. Beside it was a pawn shop receipt and a hospital cost estimate, with the name Grace Brooks printed at the top of the page. Did you say your mother's name is Grace Brooks? Thomas asked. Yes. Grace Brooks. Annie nodded repeatedly. Dr. Evelyn Parker is treating her. Please, call the doctor. I'll wait right here. Thomas turned to Mrs. Alvarez. Can Dr. Parker confirm the patient's treatment plan? Mrs. Alvarez immediately straightened, only now recognizing the man standing before her. Yes, Mr. Whitmore. I can ask her to come down. Please do. Annie looked at Thomas, hardly daring to blink. Does that mean you might help my mother? Thomas did not look at her. It means I want to hear the truth. Annie's lips trembled. She nodded. It was not a yes. But it was not a no, either. And at that moment, it was enough for her to hold on to. A few minutes later, a woman in a white coat hurried toward the desk. Mr. Whitmore, I'm Dr. Evelyn Parker. Thomas shook her hand. Grace Brooks. Does she truly need immediate treatment? Dr. Parker glanced briefly at Annie before answering. Yes, her condition is stable at the moment, but her illness is serious, and she needs timely surgery. I would not recommend delaying it any further. And the reason the surgery cannot proceed is the outstanding deposit? At this time, yes. Thomas was silent for several seconds. Then he turned toward the financial desk. Mrs. Alvarez, please prepare the payment authorization forms. The Whitmore Care Foundation will cover the entire remaining balance. $5,460. Annie did not move. For one moment, she seemed to forget how to breathe. Mrs. Alvarez immediately placed her hands on the keyboard. Yes, Mr. Whitmore. Thomas took a black fountain pen from the inside pocket of his coat and bent over to sign the document Mrs. Alvarez placed in front of him. Annie lifted a hand to cover her mouth. Tears spilled from her eyes at once. You're really going to help my mother? I'm going to pay the remaining medical balance, Thomas said. Your mother needs you upstairs beside her, not down here apologizing because you cannot afford her cancer treatment. Tears streamed down Annie's face. Someday, I will repay you, she said again. I mean it. I will find a way. Thomas capped his pen and looked at her tear-streaked face. Then remember how this feels, he said. And when you meet someone else standing at the end of the road, the way you are today, do not turn your back on them. Mrs. Alvarez picked up the phone. Patient admissions? I have confirmed payment for Grace Brooks. She can be transferred upstairs for surgical preparation. Annie clutched the plastic bag against her chest and began backing toward the elevators. After a few steps, she stopped and turned to look at Thomas. Mr. Whitmore? Yes, my name is Annie. Thomas gave a small nod. Go be with your mother, Annie. The elevator doors opened. Annie stepped inside, tears still falling, her last $216 still clenched tightly in her hand. As the doors slowly closed, Thomas stood there watching her disappear toward the upper floors of the hospital. He believed he had just paid the surgical deposit for the mother of a stranger. The elevator moved so slowly that Annie wanted to pound on the buttons, as though striking them hard enough could force it to climb faster. She stood alone in the corner,
Sorry, I'm so
clutching the
sorry.
bag tightly against
I need to
her
get to
chest,
her.
Whoa,
trying
easy
to breathe
there.
steadily without letting a sob escape. When the doors opened on the fourth floor,
Oh,
Annie
sorry.
rushed out so
Excuse me.
quickly that she nearly collided with a hospital employee pushing an empty wheelchair. Sorry, she murmured. already hurrying past him. Room 418 was halfway down the hall. Her mother was still lying exactly where Annie had left her, propped up against 2 pillows, a blue blanket neatly drawn over her thin legs. Before coming to the hospital, Grace had carefully wrapped a scarf around her thinning hair, as though a clean scarf could somehow hide how deeply weeks of illness had worn her down. Her Bible lay open beside a cup of water. Though Annie knew her mother had not read a single line, Grace always opened it whenever she was
The hospital
afraid.
is getting
At the
ready
sound
to
of the
take
door,
her mother
Grace
into
looked up.
surgery.
The
Her eyes
deposit
went
has been
immediately
paid,
to her
Mom.
daughter's tear-streaked
The
face,
paperwork is already
then
starting.
dropped to the bag
How?
Annie was still holding tightly against her chest. You've been crying. Annie closed the door behind her. Mom, they're getting ready to take you into surgery. Grace stared at her. How? They're
How did
already
you
starting
manage,
the
honey?
paperwork. Dr. Parker will explain everything, but
I'm
the
sorry.
deposit has been paid.
This is
For
all I
several
could get.
seconds, Grace said nothing.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Her hand slowly
I didn't
tightened
manage it
around the
myself.
edge of the blanket. How did
A
you manage
stranger
that?
intervened.
Annie set the bag on the chair. I didn't.
There was a
Grace's
man
expression
downstairs
changed
in
at
the
once.
lobby.
Annie.
Thomas
there was a
Whitmore, the
man
donor. His
downstairs
name
in
is
the
on the
lobby.
plaques.
Thomas Whitmore.
I went to him for
the
help.
Man whose name is on all those
He was
donor
right there by
plaques
the
in
financial
hospital.
services
He was
desk.
standing near
I
the
begged
financial
him, Mom.
services desk.
I begged him to
And
help save
I
you.
begged him to help.
I didn't care about
You
my
went up
pride.
to a stranger and asked
You
him to
really
pay my
went up to
hospital
a
bill?
stranger and
I
asked
didn't
him to
know what
pay
else
my
to do.
hospital bill.
Grace lowered her eyes. Shame appeared
didn't
on
know
her
what
face
else to do.
before relief had even had the chance to reach it. Oh, sweetheart, you should never have had to do that. Annie moved closer to the bed. If I had to do something worse than beg a stranger in order to
If I
keep
had
you
to
here
do
and get you
something worse
treated,
than beg
I
a
would do
stranger
it.
just to
Grace
keep you
turned
alive
toward the
and
window.
treated, I would have done
Outside,
it.
night had completely fallen. All that remained in the glass was her own reflection, a woman lying helplessly in a hospital bed, thinned by weeks of fighting illness, with her daughter standing behind her, empty-handed. How much did he pay? The remaining balance was $5,460. He said his foundation would review the rest of the
How much
treatment
did he pay?
costs tomorrow morning.
The remaining balance
Grace
is
pressed her lips together.
$5,460.
Tears filled her eyes,
His
but she
foundation
still
will
tried to
review
hold
the
her
rest
head
in the
high.
morning.
That much money? From a man who does not even know who I am. He knows your name now. That is not the same thing. No. Annie said softly.
Knowing a patient's name is
Sitting
not the
down
same as
beside the
truly
bed.
knowing them.
It
Yet
isn't.
once the older man
But once he
understood,
understood what was
he stopped
happening,
making her beg.
he did not make me
Once
beg
he
anymore.
understood.
Grace turned sharply toward her. Once he understood, Annie fell silent. She did not want her mother imagining what had happened in the hospital lobby. The cold stares, the suspicious questions, or the man in line who had told her not to burden strangers with the story of her
The older
misery.
benefactor
He
only wanted to
I
know
was
whether
telling
she
the
was
truth,
telling the truth.
Annie said. That was all. Grace studied her daughter for a long moment. She knew Annie too well.
Did anyone treat you badly downstairs?
Annie looked down and ran her fingers along the torn edge of the plastic bag. It's all right, Mom.
It is
matters
all
to me.
right.
Whatever anyone said does not matter as much as you getting treatment. Grace
It
looked at her in
matters.
silence. Then, slowly,
Whatever
she reached
anyone
across
said
the
is
side of the
less
bed and
important
took her
than her
daughter's
mother
hand.
finally
Her
receiving
palm
treatment.
was dry and cool. You should not have had to handle all of this alone down there. Annie struggled to swallow the ache in her throat. If I didn't do it, who else was going to?
Annie
The
should not
answer
have had
left
to
both of
handle
them
everything
silent.
alone
A gentle
downstairs.
knock sounded at the door.
Who else would have done
Dr.
it?
Evelyn Parker stepped inside with a nurse carrying
Hello,
a clipboard
Annie. I'm Dr.
and a
Parker.
plastic
We need to get
hospital
you admitted.
identification bracelet.
Here is your identification
Dr.
bracelet.
Parker had removed
Okay,
her
thank
white
you.
coat and folded it over one arm.
The
as though
next
she
few
wanted to
hours
speak
are
to them
critical,
more personally,
but we
rather
are
than
doing
stand over
everything
them
we
only
can
as a
to
doctor.
ensure her comfort
Mrs.
and
Brooks,
stability.
Doctor, Parker said.
Authorization has
received
been received to
authorization
move forward with
your
surgical admission and preparation
I
tonight.
would like to begin preparing you tonight and proceed with the operation
Doctor,
as soon as the
is this
surgical
surgery
team is ready.
truly what I
Grace
should
looked
do?
at Annie for a moment before turning to the doctor.
I'm just so
Is this truly
afraid.
what I should do? Yes,
Grace, you are
Dr.
stable
Parker
for the
replied.
moment, but we
Your
should not
condition
delay.
is stable at the moment, but we
We
should
need to
not
move
delay
forward
any longer
now.
than necessary. Grace took a slow breath. Then, I suppose we should move forward. The nurse stepped closer and gently fastened the identification bracelet around Grace's wrist. We
The
should
good
have
news
a room
is
ready for
a
you
private
upstairs
room
shortly.
upstairs is ready.
Once
You'll
we
be able to go
transfer
with
you,
her right after the transfer,
Your daughter
okay?
may accompany you. Grace managed a faint smile, weak but
You would
still
follow
carrying
me
a
even
trace
to
of
the
her
roof.
familiar warmth. She would follow me even if you took me all the way up to the roof. The nurse smiled back.
This
I
form
believe she
outlines the
would.
risks and
While
benefits
Dr.
of the
Parker
procedure.
reviewed the surgical
Please review
consent
sections
forms with
3 and
Grace,
4 carefully.
Annie quietly slipped into the hallway
right,
to buy
doctor.
her mother some water. She had taken only a few steps when she heard
That's
voices
the girl I was
drifting
telling
from
you
near
about.
the nurse's station.
The one who bothered
That's
the donor
her,
downstairs.
a woman said, not
She
bothering
directly
to keep
asked
her
for the
voice
money,
low
you
enough.
know?
The girl who went up to
And the
Thomas
donor paid
Whitmore
her mother's
downstairs.
deposit.
Another voice answered. I heard she flat out asked him for
She
money.
knew exactly who
and he
to
paid
ask,
her
didn't
mother's
she?
deposit right there.
Straight to the
Must be
foundation.
nice. Plenty of people in this building
They
are
always
drowning
know
in
the
bills.
loopholes.
She probably knew exactly who to ask. Annie stopped beside the vending machines, her back turned toward the voices. Her cheeks burned as though someone had
Look at
slapped
her,
her across
pretending
the face.
she didn't do anything
She
wrong.
wanted to turn around and tell them she had sold the
I
only
can't
car
believe she
and
wasted her
mother
tuition
owned,
money like that.
that she had pawned her mother's ring,
I don't know why she can't
that she
just
had
wait her
emptied
turn.
the savings she had once put aside for school.
Honestly,
that
some
before
people
she asked a
expect special
stranger for
treatment
help,
around here.
she had spent every last
I can't
dollar
believe
she
she's
could
wearing that
possibly
here.
find. She wanted to ask
And
whether
trembling
they would have
like that,
preferred
what
her
did
to
she
let
do?
her mother keep waiting, simply so no one could accuse her of receiving compassion
She
too
finally
easily.
left the room.
But Annie did not turn around. She fed 4 quarters into
I wonder
the
if
machine,
she even changed her
bought a
clothes
bottle
from
of water,
yesterday.
and quietly started back
The final
toward
figures
room
for the
418.
endowment are all here, sir.
Near the
Much
elevators,
appreciated.
Thomas
Daniel
Whitmore
and I will
stood
look this
beside
over on the way
Daniel
back.
while a hospital administrator handed him a folder. He looked as though he was
Annie,
preparing to leave.
how is your
Annie
mother
slowed
doing?
her steps.
She's stable,
She did
thank
not
you,
know
Mr.
whether she
Whitmore.
should approach him again.
We appreciate
Before she
everything.
could decide, Thomas noticed
My
her.
mother is being
How is
prepared
your
for
mother?
transfer
They're
upstairs.
getting ready to transfer
That
her
is
upstairs. Good. Annie tightened her grip around the bottle of water. People are saying I knew how to get what I wanted.
People are saying I
Thomas's
knew
eyes
how to get
flicked
what I
toward the
wanted.
nurse's station, then returned to her face. Did you get what you wanted?
Did you get what you wanted?
My mother is going into surgery. Then let
My
them
mother
talk.
is going into
Annie
surgery.
blinked. Doesn't it
Let
bother
us
you
talk.
hearing them say those things?
Does the
People are
gossip
often
bother
very
you?
generous with their opinions when someone else
People
has
are
to bear the
generous with
consequences.
opinions when someone
Thomas
else must
adjusted
bear the
cuff of his
consequences.
coat. Your mother is about to undergo
Annie,
surgery.
your mother
Save
is
your
about to
strength
undergo
for something
surgery.
That matters. Annie nodded.
You must save
though
your
the ache
strength for
inside
something
her
that
had not yet
matters.
faded. Mr. Whitmore.
Mr. Whitmore,
What I said downstairs.
I know what I said downstairs
truly
sounded
meant
like
it.
empty words,
I know
but
you
it
believe
wasn't.
You did.
I promise
No.
you, I will find a way to pay
Annie
you back
stepped
for
closer.
this.
It is
I know
more
you
than
believe your
believing it.
promise, but
It
I
is
know I will.
more than
I
belief.
may have nothing right now. After today, you may never see me again.
I have nothing now
But
and may
someday,
never see you again
if
after
you ever
today.
need help,
But someday, if you
I will
ever
be
need
there.
help,
Daniel
I
looked
will be
away
there.
slightly, perhaps not wanting to embarrass her for speaking with such complete sincerity. But this time, Thomas did not smile. He took a business card from the folder.
I don't know
drew
what
out
I
his
would have done
fountain
without
pen,
you.
and wrote something on the back.
Thank
then he
you.
handed it to Annie. The front bore the name of the Whitmore Care Foundation. On the back, he had written only one sentence. Tonight, stay beside your mother. That is enough. Annie accepted the card carefully,
Annie,
as
where
though
did
it were
you
something
go?
fragile enough to break.
They said they were
Thank you.
moving me. It's
Thomas
okay,
gave a
Mom.
slight
I'm right
nod toward
here.
room
Everything is going to
418.
be fine.
Go. When Annie returned to the
I'm
room,
sorry, I just quickly ran out
two
to get this
orderlies
water.
were already preparing to move Grace's bed
Are
into
you
the
okay?
hallway. The moment her mother saw her, she immediately reached out her hand. Where did you go? I went to get you some water. Grace noticed the business card in Annie's other hand, but she did not ask about it. She simply shifted her hand slightly, making room for Annie's fingers to slip between her own. As the bed was rolled into the hallway, Annie walked close beside her mother, matching her steps to the slow turning of the wheels. The whispers behind her gradually faded away. The unpaid balance had disappeared from the hospital account, but the fear was still there.
Annie,
And ahead of
listen to
them
me.
was a surgery.
No matter
whose
what
outcome no
happens
one
in
could
there,
yet
I want
know.
you to be
When
strong.
they reached the elevator,
You are
Grace
ready
gently
for
squeezed
this.
her daughter's hand. Whatever happens,
Whatever
she said,
happens,
do not
you
ever
must
let
never
tonight
let
make
this
you
night
ashamed
make
that
you
you asked
ashamed
for
that
help.
you asked for
Annie
help.
stared at the closed elevator doors in front of her.
Don't
still
you
clutching
dare feel
Thomas
shame for
Whitmore's
someone
business
else's
card in her
mistakes,
hand.
Annie.
I'm not ashamed, Mom.
You hold on to
And
that
for the
card and
first
you
time
walk
that
out of here with
entire
your head
evening,
high.
Annie realized
I'm
it was
really
true.
not ashamed,
If
Mom.
Annie and Grace's story touched your
I
heart,
finally
please
believe
like
it.
this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you are watching from, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories about kindness, courage, and hope. By
Room
6 the
304
next
needs
morning,
monitoring.
Annie had learned that hospitals
I'll
did
take
not
over from
sleep
here.
so much as
Get some
change
rest.
voices. Night nurses lowered their conversations
Patient
as the
302
halls
needs the
darkened.
CT scan
Morning
prioritized
nurses
this morning.
arrived with
Okay,
fresh badges,
I'll make sure transport
fresh
is ready by
coffee,
8.
and faces
And what about
trained
the
not to
discharge for
promise what they
305?
could not know. Machines continued their steady beeping through all of it. Grace had spent the night on the surgical floor. Annie sat beside her bed in the same clothes, Thomas Whitmore's card tucked into the inner pocket of her coat. Once, near dawn, Grace had woken.
The
and
Lord
asked
is my
Annie to read
shepherd,
from her
I
Bible.
shall not want.
Annie read a psalm without
He makes me
absorbing any
lie
of the
down in
words.
green pastures.
Her
He
mother
restores
closed her
my
eyes
soul.
before she
We've
finished,
reviewed the latest
one hand
scans,
resting over
and
Annie's
it looks
wrist.
like we should
Now
proceed with
Dr.
the
Parker
surgery
stood
as
at
soon
the
as
foot of the
possible.
bed with a surgeon named Dr. Hanley. explaining the operation one
As we
final
discussed,
time.
the procedure
Grace
carries
listened
standard
with her chin
risks,
lifted,
but it's the
though Annie
recommended
could see
course.
the fear in the way her
We'll
fingers
use a
picked at the
minimally
edge of the
invasive
blue
approach.
blanket. We'll
The
remove
affected portion of the colon will be
colon
removed and nearby tissue
tissue,
examined.
Dr. Hanley said. Once pathology gives us more information,
The pathology results
Dr.
will
Parker
determine the
speak
next
with you
steps.
about what comes next.
How soon can I
Grace
return to
nodded.
work?
And how long before I can go back to work? Dr.
Waking
Parker
up
gave her a
and
look
following
Annie
instructions
recognized from
matters more
mothers
than
and
work right
churchwomen.
now.
Mrs. Brooks, today I would settle for you waking up and following instructions.
Did you
That
get
bad,
something
huh?
to eat this
That
morning,
important?
baby? Mom,
Grace gave a small smile. Then
you're
looked
about
at
to
Annie.
have surgery and you're asking
Baby.
about my breakfast.
Did you eat?
I just
Annie
don't
almost
understand why they
laughed.
can't bring me toast before
You're
the
going
surgery.
into surgery
Mom,
and
it's
you're
fine.
worried about breakfast?
All right, we're ready
I can
to
do
take you
both.
upstairs now,
A
Mrs.
transport
Johnson.
aide entered with another nurse. The room changed at once. Forms were checked. The rails of the bed came up. Grace's Bible was moved onto
Come
the
here,
side
sweet
table.
girl. I'm right
Annie
here.
stood, suddenly unable to find anything useful to do with her hands. Grace reached
Be
for her.
strong for me
Come here.
now.
Annie bent close.
Whatever you do, don't let them
Her
break
mother's
your
arms
spirit.
were weaker than they had
I
ever
love
felt,
you. Always remember that.
but she still pulled Annie
Whatever
in with
happens
purpose.
in surgery, you
listen
did
to me,
not fail me.
Grace whispered.
Mom,
Whatever happens
no,
in
don't
there,
say that.
you did not fail me.
But you're coming
Don't
back,
say that.
right? You have to.
I need to say
I know
it.
you worked
You're
so
coming
hard
back.
last night,
I
holding
planned to.
everything together.
Grace
You
brushed
did
her
so
thumb beneath
well,
Annie's
baby.
eye, but you spent the whole
A
night trying
child
to
should
hold
not
the
have
world
had to
together
carry
with your
so
bare
much for
hands.
her mama.
A child should not have had to do that for her mama. Annie shook her head. I'm not a child. Grace looked at her for a long second. Not after last night. The nurses began rolling the bed toward the door. Annie walked alongside it until they reached the restricted doors leading to surgery. There, she had to stop. I love you, Grace said. I love
Goodbye,
you too.
my love.
Fix your coat before you catch
Be
pneumonia
strong.
in this place.
I
Annie
love
let
you
out
too,
a broken
Mom.
laugh. Yes, ma'am.
Don't forget to
Then the
button up
doors
that coat,
opened,
all right?
And Grace disappeared behind them.
It's
Annie
too cold in
remained
here to be
standing
walking
until a
around
nurse
like that.
gently suggested the waiting room. It was nearly empty.
He's in good hands now.
Furnished with chairs upholstered in a pattern
Let's go to the
designed
waiting room.
to
It's
hide
just around
years
the
of
corner.
use. A muted television showed morning traffic reports. Snow had delayed
Traffic is
buses
heavy
and
on the
slowed cars
I-5
along
heading
Lakeshore
south this
Drive.
morning, with delays
No
expected
one on
near the
screen
city
knew
center.
that Annie's entire life had gone through a pair of doors 10 feet away.
Due to the
She
heavy
sat with her
snowfall,
mother's Bible
commuters
in
should
her lap.
expect significant
The
delays.
plastic grocery
Buses
bag
are running
rested at her
behind
feet,
schedule.
still holding the $216 she had been unable to turn into enough. Thomas's card was now tucked between the Bible pages, beside the payment receipt Mrs.
Would you care
Alvarez
for
had
some
given her
coffee?
before the transfer. At 9:15, a volunteer offered coffee.
I'm
Annie
so very
declined.
sorry. We did everything
At
we
10,
could.
A man
Oh,
across
God,
the room
no.
stood
Please,
when a surgeon
no.
approached, then folded
Do
into
not be
tears
anxious about
when he heard
anything.
whatever news had come for his family.
Do not be
At 10:30,
anxious about
Annie tried to
anything.
read the same line of scripture 4 times and finally closed the book.
Aaliyah Williams?
Annie, she looked up too quickly.
Miss Williams?
Dr. Parker stood in the doorway of the waiting room, her surgical cap still covering
Is my
her
mother
hair.
alive?
Annie
Yes,
could
she
not
is.
read her expression,
She is in recovery.
and that frightened her more than
She
words
made
would
it through the
have.
surgery. Your
She
mother is
stood.
going to be all right.
Is she alive? Yes. The single word left Annie's knees unsteady.
The
She gripped
operation
the
went
back
as
of the
planned,
chair.
and your mother is in
Dr. Parker
recovery.
stepped closer.
We are still waiting on
The
some
operation
results,
went
so
as
we need
planned.
to remain careful.
Your mother is in recovery now.
Did she wake up?
She will
She's
be
beginning
monitored
to.
closely. And we
We'll
still
arrange
need
a visit once
pathology
recovery
results
clears
before we
it.
discuss the full treatment plan. This is not the end of the road. But she woke up. She is beginning to. You can see her when the recovery nurse clears it. Annie covered her face.
Is
All
the man
night she
the
had
one who
told
helped
herself
us?
she
Is he
would
still
not fall
here?
apart,
My mother
not
made
where
it.
anyone could
She
see.
is stable now.
Now she could not stop
He
the
waited
sob
for a
that
while,
escaped
but
through her
I can let
hands.
him know.
Dr. Parker
I'm sorry,
waited,
he left
not
early this
rushing her.
morning.
When Annie could speak, she asked,
But he wanted you to have
"Is
this
Mr.
note.
Whitmore still here?" No, he
He
left
wanted
last
you to
night.
have this.
I didn't get to tell him.
He's
I believe
resting
you already
comfortably now.
tried.
Thank you,
Not
doctor.
that. Annie looked toward the surgical doors. I wanted him to know she made it through. Dr. Parker studied her, then reached into the pocket of her white coat and handed Annie a sealed envelope. He asked me to give this to you after surgery, if your mother reached recovery. Annie recognized the handwriting from the card. She opened the envelope carefully.
Is there an
Inside
address
was
where I
one
can
sheet
reach
of
him,
hospital
doctor? I just want to
stationery.
thank him.
Miss
The foundation knows how to
today
find him,
belongs to your
child.
mother, and the
He
doctor's
meant what he
caring
wrote
for
in the
her.
letter.
Do not spend it searching for me. Sit beside her when she wakes. Let her see a familiar face before she sees another bill or another chart. That will be thanks enough.
It's okay.
Thomas
She's in
Whitmore.
recovery and
Annie
doing
read
well.
it twice.
Come with
He didn't
me.
leave an address? She asked. Dr. Parker shook her head. His foundation knows how to find him. but I think he meant what he wrote. Annie folded the letter and placed it inside Grace's Bible with the receipt. A recovery nurse came for her soon after. Grace was pale when Annie entered, her eyelids heavy,
Are you
tube
here,
taped
baby?
to her hand,
I'm right here,
her breathing
Mom.
slow. The blue blanket
I'm
had
not
been placed
leaving.
over her again, folded crookedly near her feet. Annie moved to the bed and straightened it without thinking. Grace's eyes opened a fraction. Babe, I'm here. Her mother's mouth moved
We
in
need
the
stat
smallest
labs for
smile.
room 3.
Knew you would be. Annie
Coming
sat
through,
and wrapped
airway
both
cart.
hands around Grace's fingers.
Does anyone have the
Beyond
results
the door,
yet?
carts
The incision
rolled,
looks
phones
clean.
rang. Nurses
Let the
called
fluids
for lab
continue
work.
running at
She
125.
listened
Yes,
differently
doctor.
now.
Vitals
a
are
few
stable.
Hours earlier, the hospital had felt
The
like a
incision
building
looks
guarding a
good,
door
and
she
the
could not
IV is
afford to
running
open.
smoothly.
Now,
We've adjusted
watching
the
Doctor
overnight pain
Parker
medication
check
to
the
ensure she
incision,
rests comfortably.
answer questions, and adjust the plan for the night. Annie understood something she had never understood before. There were people inside that door who knew how to pull someone back. Grace drifted to sleep. Annie stayed beside her, one hand still holding hers, the other resting over the Bible that contained Thomas Whitmore's signature.
I see myself in that coat
afternoon,
one day.
Before anyone asked what she
Not as a
planned to do
dream,
with the school
but a
money she no
promise.
longer had.
A promise born
Annie
from
made a
this.
decision she did not yet know how to afford. One day, she would wear a white coat. One day, she would be the person a frightened daughter saw walking toward her with an answer. Grace's recovery began with small victories that would have looked ordinary to anyone who had not spent a night fearing she might never receive treatment at all.
Are you okay,
The first
Mom?
morning, she
We've
kept
got
down
you.
a few spoonfuls of broth.
Just breathe
The next
and-
day, she stood beside the bed with a nurse holding
And
one
take
arm
your time.
and Annie holding the other.
This hospital
By the end
coffee
of the
smells
week,
worse than
she could
anything
shuffle
I
to the
ever
window
washed from
and
hotel
complain that
towels.
the hospital coffee smelled worse than anything she had ever washed out of a hotel towel. Annie laughed because Grace wanted her to laugh. She also learned how quickly relief could become another kind of fear.
The surgery was
Surgery had
successful in
removed the
removing the tumor, but the
Dr.
pathology
Parker
indicates that
explained
further treatment will
pathology
be
showed Grace
necessary.
would need additional treatment.
The surgery
operation
went
had
well,
opened a
but we
door.
didn't get
It had
clear
not carried them
margins.
safely through the
This
whole
means we're
building.
facing a more
Grace sat in a
intensive course of
wheelchair near the
treatment
bed,
starting next
a knit
week.
cap covering her
The
hair,
immunotherapy
while
infusions
Dr.
are set
Parker
for
laid out the
Tuesdays and
treatment
Fridays.
schedule.
Monitor
Annie
the
held
white
a
blood
notebook
cell
on her
count
knee and
closely.
wrote down every
Note the
appointment,
dosage change
every
here on the
medication,
15th.
Does
every
that
word
mean
she
I
did
will
not
lose my
understand
hair?
well enough to remember later. Chemotherapy, Grace said when
It
Dr.
often
Parker
does,
finished.
yes.
That means I lose my hair?
The hair
It
may thin
thin
considerably, but
Dr.
we will
Parker
manage
answered.
the nausea
We will
and
help you
fatigue
manage
closely.
the nausea and fatigue. We will also watch you closely.
Being watched
Grace
so
gave Annie a
intensely is worse
sideways
than
look.
any medicine.
Your daughter looking at you like that is worse than
I'm just
any
taking
medicine.
notes.
I'm taking notes. You're planning
Even a
military
military campaign planner is
Somebody
still
has
allowed to sleep.
Dr. Parker smiled. That somebody is still allowed to sleep. Annie did not mention that she had been sleeping in a chair with her shoes on, afraid that closing her eyes too deeply might allow something to happen without her. The following afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Mrs. Alvarez
I have the
came to
updated
Grace's
paperwork for the
room
care
with a
fund.
folder from
We
the
already
Whitmore
told
Care
you
Fund.
we can't pay the
Annie
deductible
rose
right
the
now.
moment she saw her,
The fund will
expecting
cover
another
the
balance,
approved surgical
another
balance
condition,
and assist with
another number
oncology
printed too
costs,
neatly on paper.
and no new
Mrs.
deposit
Alvarez
is
seemed to
required today.
understand. This
May
is
I
good
write a
news.
thank you
Mr.
letter to the
Whitmore's office
benefactor?
completed
Of
its
course,
review.
that would be
The fund
wonderful.
will cover the approved
We can
surgical
arrange
balance
that.
and assist with your mother's oncology treatment
Please, you must
costs.
ensure they
There
receive
will be
this. It's
forms for
important they know how
follow-up
grateful we
expenses,
are. I
but you
understand,
are not
and I
being
promise
asked
to
for
deliver
another
it.
deposit
I just
today.
can't guarantee a
Annie
personal
gripped the bed
response.
rail. Grace closed her eyes.
Honey, could you please
For a
pass
moment,
me the
she said
hospital
nothing,
writing pad?
Then asked,
I'd like to write my thank
"Could
you
I
notes
write him
now.
a thank
Sure,
you
Mom.
letter?" "You certainly can."
Mom,
Mrs.
let me
Alvarez
just write it
said.
out for you.
The foundation
No,
office
baby,
will
it
receive
has to be in my own
That is not what
hand.
I asked. Mrs.
It means
Alvarez's
more
expression
that way.
softened. I cannot promise he will respond personally, Mrs. Brooks. He supports many patients. Grace nodded once. Then he will receive a letter whether he answers
Could you
it or
pass
not.
me the receipt
That
from the
evening,
Bible, sweetie?
While Annie
Of
adjusted
course,
pillows
Mama.
and
Here
checked
it
the
is.
time for Grace's next pill, her mother
It's
requested
real.
the
I'm
hospital
coming
writing
home,
pad.
baby.
Her fingers were still unsteady.
We have another
so Annie
chance
offered
because
to
of
wait
this
for her.
paper.
No, my gratitude should
Keep
be in
this
my own
safe.
handwriting, even if it looks
One
terrible.
day you will need
Grace
to
wrote
remember
slowly,
people can still choose
pausing often.
decency.
Annie did not read over her shoulder. When Grace finished, she folded the page and addressed the envelope to Thomas Whitmore through his foundation. Then she held out her hand. "Give me the receipt." Annie took the payment receipt from the Bible and passed it to her.
The lost
Grace
ring
studied
is
Thomas's
only a
signature
thing
at the bottom. This
compared
is the
with
paper
saving
that
a
gave me
person
another
in
chance to come
danger.
home to you. The doctors did that. The doctors had a locked
I'm
door
so
in front
sorry,
of them until
baby.
that man opened it.
You
Grace
shouldn't have had
returned
to
the
make those
receipt.
choices by
You
yourself.
keep this safe. Why me? because one day you'll need reminding that people can still choose decency. Annie placed the receipt back inside the Bible beside Thomas's letter and the card he had written in the hallway. Grace was discharged 11 days after surgery. They left Street Catherine in a cab because their Buick was gone. Grace did not mention
There
the
are
missing
more
car
good
until
people
they
in
were
the world
halfway
than
home,
bad.
passing
Only the
dirty
bad
seal
ones
banks
are
and corner
louder.
stores with Christmas lights still hanging in their windows. You
Everything
sold it.
comfortable right now?
Annie
Yes,
stared out
thank
the window.
you.
We needed
The blanket
money.
is perfect.
And my ring? Annie's silence answered. Grace inhaled slowly.
You know, this
more
infusion
tired
is
than
starting to
angry.
feel less like
Baby,
treatment and
look
more
at
like
me.
a spa
Annie
day.
turned,
If the spa
bracing
served
herself.
ice chips and
When I am
regret.
stronger, we will get the ring back if it is still there. If it isn't, then it is just a ring. I did not raise you to worship things while people are in danger. I should have told you. You should have had an adult standing beside you so you did not need to make all those decisions alone. Grace reached across the seat and took Annie's hand. That is the part I am sorry for. At home, the apartment felt smaller than Annie remembered. Church women had cleaned the kitchen, filled the freezer with casseroles, and left a pot of chicken soup in the refrigerator with reheating instructions taped to the lid. Mrs. Collins from downstairs had placed a vase of grocery store carnations on the table and written, "Welcome home,
Honey,
Grace.
about the
We
registration,
have you
what are you
covered."
thinking of
Grace
reapplying
read
for?
the note twice
I want to do
before
the
sitting
lab
carefully
program.
at the kitchen table.
I know I can get in
There are
next
more
time.
good people in this world
I know
than
it won't
bad,
be easy,
she said.
Mom.
The bad ones are just
But
louder.
seeing you in the
Treatment
hospital, it
began
just
the
made me
following week.
realize this
Annie
is what I
learned the
have
rhythm
to
of
do.
infusion days.
I
Checking
was just
in,
sitting there by the
waiting,
hospital
plastic
bed, not
chairs,
understanding
blankets warmed
anything.
in a machine, cups
Then
of
the
ice,
doctor walked
Grace
in and said
forcing
you were
jokes between
alive.
waves of nausea.
He just
On the
helped
days
us,
Grace could
and I
not
could only
cook,
say thank
Annie
you.
reheated food left by
I don't
church
want to be
friends.
that helpless
On
again.
the days Grace could not
I want to
stand long
serve.
enough to shower,
You are
Annie helped
capable,
without
and
allowing
sick
her
people
mother to
deserve
see her
someone who
cry.
listens.
Every few months,
That is why
Annie
you will be a
mailed letter to
doctor,
the Whitmore
not
Care
to repay
Fund.
a bill.
She wrote that Grace
It
had
wasn't a
completed
bill.
another
I
round
know.
of treatment, that her appetite
But
had
don't turn
returned,
your whole
that
life
scans
into a
were
punishment
improving.
disguised
She
as
thanked Thomas
repayment.
again each time. Responses
Become
came on
whatever you
formal
become
letterhead,
because you have
signed
something
by
to
staff
give,
members.
not
The
because you are
foundation was
still
pleased to hear
the
of Mrs.
frightened
Brooks's
girl at the
progress.
hospital counter.
Mr. Whitmore received many messages from assisted families. They wished Grace continued health. Annie saved every letter, but none carried his fountain pen handwriting. One afternoon, when Grace was strong enough to sit on the fire escape in the sun with a cup of tea, she found Annie studying a community college brochure beside a stack of hospital paperwork. "You missed your registration deadline," Grace said. "I can work this year and reapply." "For what?" Annie traced a photograph of students in white laboratory coats. "I want to be a doctor." Grace watched her quietly. "Since when?" "Since I sat beside your bed and realized I understood nothing. Since Dr. Parker walked into a waiting room and told me you were alive. Since a man I didn't know helped us, and all I could do was stand there and say thank you." Grace reached for Annie's hand. "Listen to me. You may become a doctor because you are capable of it. You may become one because sick people deserve somebody who listens. But you do not spend your whole life trying to repay a bill." "It wasn't a bill." "I know." Grace's voice softened. "That is why you cannot repay it by making your life a punishment." Annie looked down at the brochure. Grace squeezed her fingers. "Become whatever you become because you have something to give, not because you think you are still that frightened girl at the counter." Annie nodded, though she was not ready to separate those reasons. That night, after Grace had gone to sleep, Annie opened the Bible and removed Thomas Whitmore's receipt. At the kitchen table, she placed it inside a clear plastic sleeve so the creases would not tear. Then she opened the college brochure again and circled the number for admissions. She had promised Thomas she would help him someday. She did not know where he was, whether he remembered her, or whether their lives would ever cross again. But she knew what her hands were going to learn to do. Grace kept her promise to get stronger slowly, and Annie learned that recovery had no clean ending. There were months when the apartment calendar seemed filled only with infusion appointments, blood tests, bus schedules, and instructions written in Dr. Parker's clear handwriting. There were mornings when Grace could eat scrambled eggs and fold laundry at the kitchen table, and afternoons when the smell of toast sent her hurrying to the bathroom.
Did you
Annie
finish the
began
math homework?
classes at a community college
Barely.
the following fall.
I was
She
up so
attended
late.
lectures in the morning, worked at the market in the evening, and came home to check Grace's medications before opening her textbooks. Some nights she fell asleep over biology diagrams at the kitchen table and woke to find a blanket around her shoulders and a note from Grace beside her elbow. Future doctors still need sleep. The first time Grace returned to New Hope Missionary Baptist after treatment, she wore her red hat and a navy dress that hung looser than before. Annie helped her up the church steps.
Grace Annie,
not to
is
notice how
that
tightly her mother held
you?
her
Oh,
hand.
yes, she's
Mrs.
finally
Collins spotted
home.
them from the
Welcome,
vestibule
sister.
and let out a cry that brought half the congregation
Child,
turning
don't you
around.
ever
Look
run
who the
off
Lord
like
carried
that
back in
again.
here.
We missed you
Grace
so
lifted her
much.
chin. The
I
Lord
missed
and a
y'all
very
too,
good
Mrs.
surgeon,
Collins.
and a daughter who looks like she hasn't rested since Christmas,
Oh,
Mrs. Collins said, pulling Annie
you
into her
brought
arms.
me
Grace sat
through
through the
the
service with her Bible.
fire.
Nomi
Yes,
and choir
you
began singing. Her voice
softly
joined
and
quietly at first, then
tenderly,
stronger on the final verse.
Jesus is
Annie kept her eyes on
calling,
the hymnal because if she looked at her mother,
Girl, you better
she
get some
knew
more
she
of this
would cry in
macaroni.
front
You
of
look too
everyone.
skinny. Oh,
Afterward,
I'm all right,
the fellowship
thank
hall
you.
filled with baked chicken,
Don't you worry about her,
macaroni
baby.
and
Get a little bit of
cheese,
everything.
green beans,
You know I hate
cornbread,
pictures when I'm
and
eating,
women telling
but this
Grace
lemon
she
pound
needed
cake
more
is
on her
just
plate.
too good. We have
Grace
to capture
accepted
this.
a
Okay,
slice
Aunt
of
Grace,
lemon pound
say
cake
cheese.
and took 3 bites before leaning toward Annie. Take a picture. You hate pictures when you're eating. I want one from today. Annie borrowed Mrs. Collins's camera. In the photograph, Grace sat beneath fluorescent church lights with one hand on her Bible and a paper plate in front of her. She looked thinner, older, and alive. That evening, Annie placed the photograph behind Thomas Whitmore's receipt in the clear sleeve. Years passed by effort rather than miracle.
How do we ask
Grace's
for a
scans
peppermint?
Yes,
Her hair
ma'am.
returned,
That's
soft and gray
right.
at the
And you,
temples.
sweetie?
She found
Yes,
part-time work at the
ma'am.
church daycare.
I am
where
so
children
proud
learned
of you,
quickly that
baby.
Miss
All your
Grace
hard
always
work
kept
paid off.
peppermints in her purse
This is just the
and
beginning,
expected,
Mom.
"Yes,
Next
ma'am,"
stop,
before
UIC.
handing one over. Annie
We
completed
now
her associate
present
degree,
Annie
then
Brooks,
transferred to the University
Bachelor
of
of
Illinois,
Arts,
Chicago with
cum
scholarships and
laude.
grants. On the day she received her bachelor's degree, Grace sat in the second row
That's
wearing a
my
blue dress
daughter.
and the wedding ring Annie had managed
I'm
to
so
retrieve
proud
from
of
the pawn
you.
shop 2 years earlier. When Annie crossed the
That's
stage,
my baby right
Grace
there.
rose before anyone else
We
in
are
her
so
row and
proud
called,
of you,
"That's
Annie.
my baby."
Congratulations.
"Mama," Annie said afterward, embarrassed and laughing as Grace held her face between both hands. "You can be embarrassed after I finish being proud. Medical school cost more than Annie
Now you
once
make sure
believed
you eat
money
a good
could
meal,
cost.
baby. I will,
But she
Mama.
learned how to
Thank
live
you.
inside scholarships,
Call me
work
when you
study
get in.
programs, loans, and long hours.
I worry about you
Grace
up there.
set
Are you
food
at
in
least
plastic
eating something
containers
proper?
whenever
Mom, I'm
Annie had time to
fine.
take
Yes,
the
I
train
ate.
home.
Stop worrying.
Every Sunday
I'll stop
night she
worrying when
called.
you're a doctor with
"You
a full
eating?"
belly.
"Yes, ma'am."
All right, the doctor
"You
will be
sound
right
hungry."
with you. Are you
"I
comfortable?
always sound hungry during
Yes,
exams.
dear, thank you.
You sound hungry because you think coffee is a food group." During her hospital training, Annie first thought she would work in cancer care because of Grace. Then cardiology pulled her in. A failing heart told its story
Your
through
father
rhythm,
isn't just
pressure,
tired. I think there's
valves,
something else going
blood
on.
flow and silence. A patient
We
could
need
look
to run more
tired,
tests
old,
immediately.
confused, or ready to be
I want to be
dismissed,
the doctor
while
who
inside the
notices
body
before a
something
family is
precise was
told
going
there is
wrong.
nothing left.
Annie found
I
she
know
wanted
you
to be
will,
the
Annie.
doctor who noticed before a family was told there
Annie's
was nothing
heart
left
has
to
been
do.
bossing her
Grace
around
understood
since
before Annie
birth.
explained it fully. "You chose hearts," she said one Thanksgiving while stirring collard
Look at the
greens
vegetation
stove.
on the mitral
"I
valve.
did."
This
Grace
patient won't
smiled.
stabilize
"Seems
until we
fitting.
address the
Yours
structural
has been
issue.
bossing you around
Make sure to
since you
track
were
the
born."
pressures
Annie
hourly.
completed residency.
I got the
then a
attending
fellowship
position,
focused
Mom.
on difficult
I'm
valve
officially
disease and
Dr.
cardiac
Brooks.
infections.
Oh,
The day she
Annie,
accepted
I
her
knew you
first
could do it,
attending
baby.
position, she
Mom,
drove
I got
straight
the
to Grace's
attending
apartment
cardiologist
rather than
position.
call.
I'm officially
Grace
Dr.
opened the door,
Brooks.
looked at Annie's
Oh,
face,
Annie,
and
baby,
said,
I'm so
"Well,
proud of you."
Dr. Annie Brooks, attending cardiologist. Grace leaned against the doorframe
I
and
wish
covered
the
her
old
mouth.
benefactor could see this.
Then she drew Annie into her arms and held her longer than usual. "I wish Mr. Whitmore could see this," Annie whispered. Grace pulled back. "Maybe someday he will." Annie had continued writing to the Whitmore Care Fund over the years. She sent a letter after college graduation, after medical school, and after her fellowship. Each time, a courteous office response arrived, thanking her for sharing her family's news. Thomas never wrote personally again.
But he should have done more,
His
Grace. It
photograph
feels
occasionally
incomplete.
appeared in newspaper
He
stories
gave without
beside new
attaching a
hospital
string, baby.
programs or
We
mobile
can't
clinics.
resent him for not.
His hair turned silver. His face grew thinner. Annie wondered whether he ever saw her letters or whether they rested in a file among
That
hundreds
white
of other
coat.
stories made
It
possible
looks
by
so
his mother.
good on you,
Grace never
baby.
allowed her to become bitter about it.
I'm so
He gave without
proud.
attaching a string, she said. Do not be hurt that he did not pull on one later. Grace lived 17 years after the night at the payment counter. Her final illness came quietly, not from returning cancer, but from a stroke that left her body unable to recover. Annie sat beside her hospital bed, older now, trained enough to understand every monitor and still powerless to bargain with time. On her last clear afternoon, Grace opened her eyes and found Annie holding her hand. "White coat looked good on you," she murmured. Annie smiled through tears. "You've told me that before. I intend to keep telling you until I can't." A day later, Grace was gone. After the funeral, Annie sorted through her mother's apartment slowly. In the Bible, she found Thomas's receipt, his old handwritten note, and a new folded page written in Grace's familiar cursive. You do not owe Mr. Whitmore a life. You owe this world the use of your hands when someone needs them. Annie sat on the edge of Grace's bed and held the note against her chest until evening turned the room dark. 5 years later, Dr. Annie Brooks was leaving her office at Lakeshore University Hospital when her phone
Dr.
rang.
Brooks, this is Evelyn Parker.
The number was unfamiliar.
I wouldn't
but the
call
voice
unless it was
not.
urgent.
Annie, Dr.
It's
Evelyn
about your
Parker
mother.
said, I need to speak with you about
I need to
Thomas
speak about the
Whitmore."
old benefactor.
Annie stopped with her coat half on.
We have a past
Dr.
debt of
Parker
kindness
drew a
to
careful
discuss.
breath. He is at Street Catherine.
The
and
old
unless someone
benefactor
takes
is at
another
St.
look,
Catherine
I
and may
believe
be
they are
sent home
preparing
to
send him
die
home
unless
to
someone
die.
takes another.
For several seconds, Annie could hear only the low hum of the ventilation e-by in her office and the traffic far below her window. Thomas Whitmore's name had always belonged to another part of her life, preserved in a plastic sleeve with her mother's handwriting. Hearing it spoken as the name of a dying patient made the years between them collapse too quickly.
What happened?
She asked. Dr. Parker's voice was quieter than Annie remembered. but
We'll
it had the
navigate
same
this
measured
path with the
precision that
same
once steadied
care and
Grace through
precision
cancer
we used
treatment.
for your mother's
He has been
treatment
declining
plan.
for weeks.
The reports
Heart
confirm
failure,
Thomas's decline.
recurring fever,
We are seeing sustained heart
confusion
failure,
that comes and
persistent
goes.
fever, and
He
increasing
had a
episodes of
prosthetic valve
confusion.
placed years ago.
The prosthetic valve
The team
treatment
has
has
treated him,
unfortunately failed,
but he is getting
and the
weaker.
weakness is growing.
His nephew is arranging
Your nephew
hospice
is
care at
arranging
home.
hospice at
Who is
home.
his cardiologist?
Who is Thomas's attending
Dr. Samuel
cardiologist?
Reed. He
Dr.
is
Samuel
competent,
Reed.
Annie.
Reed.
This is not a case of nobody caring. But difficult cases can become settled
Difficult
stories
cases
before they are
become
finished.
settled stories.
Annie lowered herself into her desk chair. Her
That
medical
debt
bag
was
still
settled a
on the floor
long
beside
time
her,
ago, child.
and inside its front
Hold on
pocket
to the
rested
memories,
Grace's note
not
and
the
old payment
worries.
receipt. She had placed them there after her mother's funeral and never taken them out. Why call me? Because your specialty is complicated
Why call
valve
me?
disease. Because I heard enough about his
I
symptoms
called
to
because you
wonder whether another
specialize in
look is
complicated
warranted.
valve
And
disease.
because when I saw him yesterday, he asked whether the foundation had continued helping patients after he
Thomas
became
had
ill.
asked whether
Annie
the
closed her
foundation
eyes.
still
He
helped
still
patients
himself?
after
Some
he
hours.
became ill.
Not all, but enough to know he is being spoken
He is
around
still
instead of
himself,
spoken to.
Annie.
That sentence struck harder than
Aware
the
enough to
diagnosis.
know people are
Annie had
speaking
treated
around
older
him
patients
instead of
whose
to
children
him.
answered every question before the patient could open his mouth. Wives whose pain became background because a husband said she always complained. Or patients whose confusion was blamed on irresponsibility before anyone considered infection or medication. Illness weakened the body first. Sometimes the people in the room took the
Illness
rest.
weakens the body
I cannot
first, and
simply walk
sometimes the
into his
people in the
case,
room take the
Annie
rest.
said.
I
have a
cannot
personal
simply walk into
connection,
Thomas's
if he
case because of
remembers
my
me at all.
personal connection.
I am not asking you to walk
I am
in
not
and
asking
perform
for a miracle, only whether you
I
are
am
willing
asking
to
whether
review
you
a
are
man
willing to
before
review a
everyone
man
agrees
before
no
everyone
meaningful
agrees there
road
is
is
no
left.
meaningful road left. Annie rose and moved to the window. Snow had begun falling over Chicago, disappearing into the streetlights below. 22 years earlier, she had stood in a hospital lobby and begged Thomas to see one more possibility for Grace. Now, Dr. Parker was asking the same thing of her.
Tonight?
I'll
I'll
come, she said. Tonight? Annie reached for her coat. I'm leaving now. The drive to Street Catherine took longer than it should have. Snow slowed traffic along the expressway, and every red light gave Annie another chance to question what she was doing. She did not know Thomas beyond a single night and several pieces of paper. He had paid for her mother's surgery, then allowed their lives to separate. Perhaps gratitude had kept him larger in her memory than any man could remain in real life. Perhaps she would arrive only to confirm that his doctors were right and there was nothing left to offer except comfort. At the next stoplight, she reached into her bag and touched the edge of Grace's folded note. You owe this world the use of your hands when someone needs them. When Street Catherine came into view, Annie almost missed the entrance. The hospital
Good
had
evening.
grown
Welcome
around
to the
building she
hospital.
remembered.
I'll take the car
Glass
right here.
walls replaced the old brick lobby. A covered drop-off lane curved past valet signs and heated benches. Inside, touchscreen kiosks stood where plastic chairs and payphones had once been. Still, the smell was the same. Disinfectant, coffee, winter coats drying beneath fluorescent lights. Annie entered through the main doors and stopped near the center of the lobby. To her right was the corridor where the payment counter had once stood. It had been renovated into a financial navigation office with frosted glass panels and upholstered chairs. No one standing there would know that a girl once held
Eleanor, is that really
$216 in a
you?
grocery bag and tried not to
Dr.
collapse while a
Evans.
stranger signed her mother into
Oh,
treatment.
it's so wonderful
Annie,
to see you
she
again.
turned. Dr. Evelyn Parker walked toward her with a cane in one hand and a wool coat buttoned high around her neck. Her hair, once dark and closely styled, was now silver. Annie had imagined this meeting over the years, but she had never pictured herself reaching for the older woman.
The mother
before
would have
either of
told
them spoke.
every neighbor in
Dr. Parker
Chicago
hugged
about
with
her.
one arm. "Look at you," she said
Where
when
is
they
the
separated.
patient?
Grace would have worn out
The
every
patient
neighbor
is
in
in
Chicago
cardiac
telling them
step-down,
about you.
room 714.
Annie smiled, but it lasted
Understood.
only a moment.
Let's go.
Where is he? Cardiac step-down, room 714. They walked toward the elevators.
That
Annie
care
noticed
should
a
never
bronze
belong
plaque mounted
only
on the
to the
wall near
fortunate.
the entrance to a newly expanded clinical wing.
Did the elderly
The Whitmore
benefactor
Medical
keep
Pavilion.
funding the pavilion?
Care should never
He did,
belong only to the fortunate.
until illness
She
made
slowed.
meetings
He
impossible.
kept funding it? Annie asked.
My nephew is
until he
handling
became
all
too
my
ill to
affairs
attend
now.
meetings
Is he
himself.
officially your healthcare
Dr.
proxy?
Parker
Yes,
pressed
he
the
is.
elevator button. His nephew,
The
Preston
real
Whitmore,
difficulty is deciding when
has
the
been
patient
handling much
lacks
of his business
capacity
during the
and when
last
people
year.
simply prefer
Is
not to
Preston
hear
his
him.
healthcare proxy? When Thomas lacks capacity, yes.
Good morning,
The
Dr.
difficulty
Evans.
is
It's so good
deciding
to
when he
see
lacks
you.
it, and
Hello,
when people
dear.
simply prefer
Are those
not to hear
coffees
what
for
he
me?
has to say. The elevator arrived. Inside, a nurse carrying takeout coffee greeted Dr. Parker by name. Annie remembered her mother saying older physicians never really retired. They simply collected more
Before we
people
go
who
into the room,
recognized
there's
them in
something
hallways.
critical we need to
When the
discuss
doors
about your
opened on the
father's
7th
condition.
floor,
The
Dr.
patient
Parker
is
did
no
not
longer the
immediately
man she
lead Annie to
remembers from the
Thomas's
lobby.
room.
That he is thin
Instead,
and
she
frightened, though
stopped
he tries
beside a
not to
window
show it.
overlooking the parking structure.
Some days he knows
Before you
exactly
see
what is
him,
happening.
understand
Other
this.
days conversations slip
Thomas
away
is
from
not the
him,
man you
and
remember
immediate
from that
recognition
lobby.
should not be
He
expected.
is thin,
I'm truly not looking
He
for
is frightened,
recognition.
though he tries not to show
But I
it.
suppose I hope the
Some
past
days he
would be
knows
remembered.
exactly what is happening. Other days he loses
Part of
track
you is
of
still the girl who wanted the
Do not
benefactor
expect
to know her
recognition
mother
be
lived.
immediate. I'm not coming for recognition.
gentle with that
no,
part.
Dr. Parker said. But a part of you is still the girl who wanted him to know her mother lived. Be gentle with that part. When you walk in, Annie looked down at her hands. Those hands had placed central lines, held pressure on bleeding wounds, guided families through decisions no one should have to make. Yet at that moment, they felt as uncertain as they had when she stood beside Grace's bed. Room 714 was near the end of the hall. Through the glass panel beside the door, Annie saw an elderly man propped against pillows, oxygen tubing beneath his nose. His silver hair had thinned. His cheeks were hollow. A blue hospital blanket lay crookedly across his legs. A nurse adjusted
The patient
IV tubing at his
insists on
bedside.
signing his own papers whenever
On the rolling
able.
table beside him rested a pair of glasses, a leather wallet, and a black fountain pen. Annie stopped breathing
Are you
for
ready?
a moment. That pen, she said. Dr. Parker followed her gaze.
I'm not ready,
He
but
insists
please,
on signing
open
his
the
own
door.
papers whenever he is able. Annie opened her medical bag and removed the old payment receipt. Thomas's younger signature lay at the bottom. Dark ink faded,
Is he
but
still
clear.
unarousable?
Dr.
Yes.
Parker placed
Vital
her hand
signs
on the door
remain
handle.
steady.
Are you ready?
Mr. Henderson,
Annie looked through the glass at the
it
man
is
who had
Elizabeth.
once refused to let a balance due
I am
become
here
her
as
mother's
I
ending.
promised your son
No,
I would be.
she said, slipping the receipt into her coat pocket, but open the door anyway. The nurse looked up as they entered. Thomas did not stir. Annie walked to the side of his bed
Do
and
you
waited
remember
until
this,
she
sir?
trusted her voice.
22
"Mr.
years
Whitmore,"
ago, you
she
saved
said
my
softly.
mother's life.
My name is Annie
We never
Brooks."
forgot.
His eyelids moved.
I remember
then
you.
opened. He turned toward her slowly.
You were the girl
looking
from
at
long
her as
ago.
if through fog. Annie took out the receipt
From
and
the
placed it
hospital.
beside the fountain pen. 22 years ago, she said. You paid for my mother's surgery. Thomas stared at the paper for a long time. Then his eyes
I am
lifted
the
to her
girl from
face.
that night.
The girl, he whispered. The girl with the bag.
I told you
Annie
I would
reached
come
for
back.
His hand. Yes, sir, she said. I came back. Thomas's fingers moved beneath Annie's hand, weak but deliberate, as if he needed proof that she was not another fever dream.
Grace.
His eyes returned to the receipt lying beside the fountain pen. Grace, he said after a moment. Your mother's name was Grace. Annie felt the pressure behind her eyes.
Her mother's name
but she
was
kept
Grace
her voice
Brooks.
steady. Yes. Grace Brooks. She made it through? She lived
Grace
17 more
survived,
years.
Thomas.
Thomas closed his eyes. His breathing
She lived
remained
17
shallow,
more
each breath
years.
measured by the soft hiss of oxygen, but something eased in his face.
17
he
is a
whispered.
fine
That is a
number
fine
of
number of
years.
years. She saw me finish college. She saw me graduate from medical
Grace
school.
lived long enough
She
to
watched
see
me
her
become a
finish college,
cardiologist.
graduate
His eyes
medical
opened again.
school, and become a cardiologist.
Annie smiled. A very stubborn
I'm a
one.
very stubborn
A faint
one.
laugh escaped him, then dissolved into a cough. The nurse at the bedside, whose badge read Maya Lewis, RN, stepped closer
Just
and
catch your
adjusted his
breath
oxygen
before you try
line.
to impress your
Easy,
visitor.
Mr. Whitmore, Maya said. You can impress your visitor after you catch your breath. Thomas settled back against the pillow. Annie noticed the effort it cost him to speak, the sweat near his temple, the fever tint along his cheeks. She had entered the room carrying an old promise. Now, the physician in her was beginning to count what the daughter in her wanted not to see. A monitor displayed a heart rhythm uneven enough to demand attention. His ankles were swollen beneath the blanket. There was a grayness around his mouth that suggested his heart was struggling to do the work his body required. When he shifted, Annie heard a slight wetness in his breathing. Thomas watched her observing
You're
him.
studying me
"You
rather
have that
closely,
look,"
Doctor.
he murmured.
Try
"What
not
look?"
to look so
"The look
worried.
doctors use when they wish they were only visiting." Annie glanced at Maya.
Annie
then back
has
at
the
him.
look doctors get
Dr.
when they
Parker
wish
told
they
me,
were only
"You've been
visiting.
very ill. I have become extremely popular with people carrying
Dr. Parker said you
clipboards."
had been very
Maya
ill.
gave him a small smile.
Well, at least I'm
"And yet
becoming
you refuse
popular
to
with
behave
people
like a
carrying
popular man."
clipboards.
He turned his head
The
slightly toward
doctors
Annie.
think I should go home.
"They think I should go home." Annie sat down in the
What do you
chair
think,
beside his
Thomas?
bed. "What do you think?" Thomas's eyes moved toward the window.
I
where
am
the lights of
tired.
the parking garage glowed through
But
falling
tired
snow.
is not the
"I think
same
I'm
as
tired,"
finished.
he said. "I also think tired is not the same thing as finished." Maya's expression did not
Thomas,
change.
I need to know
But Annie
exactly
saw the
what happened
confirmation
before
in
he
it.
gets here.
Thomas was weak. He had moments of confusion. But
I did
right
not
now,
know Thomas had
he
company.
understood exactly what was being said around him. Before Annie could ask anything further, the door
I am
opened.
the consulting
A man in his
cardiologist from
mid-40s
Lakeshore
entered wearing a
University
navy overcoat
Hospital,
over a
contacted
tailored
by
suit.
Dr.
He
Parker.
carried an expensive leather portfolio and paused when he saw
I once
Annie
paid
beside
for
the
her
bed.
mother's surgery.
"Uncle Thomas, I didn't know you had company." Thomas's mouth tightened slightly. "Preston, this is Dr.
Ah, yes,
Annie
Annie.
Brooks."
We mustn't
Preston
forget your
offered a
family's
brief,
valuable
practiced smile.
contributions to the foundation
"One
over
of
the
the
years.
physicians here?"
It's comforting
"Not
to have
exactly,"
you here.
Annie said,
Preston,
standing.
my mother was assisted
"I'm
by
a
Thomas.
cardiologist at Lakeshore University
I
Hospital.
came because a doctor informed
Dr.
me
Parker
of his
contacted
condition.
me. Preston looked from her to the old receipt on the table. Thomas spoke before
I think
Annie
Thomas
could
has had an
explain.
exhausting day.
"I paid for her
He needs
mother's
to rest
surgery a
now.
long time ago." The warmth
We are
drained from
arranging a
Preston's
comfortable
smile,
transition
leaving
home.
politeness behind.
I have not
see.
agreed to
One
all
of the
of it.
foundation families. Annie heard the phrase for what it was.
Doctors
Not an insult
explained
exactly,
more
but a
interventions
way
may
of placing
prolong
her
discomfort.
in a category below the people in the room.
Many things
"My
were
mother was
explained when
assisted
I was
by
half
Mr.
asleep.
Whitmore," she said.
Is all this really
"I
necessary
came
right
tonight
now?
because Dr. Parker informed me of his condition."
Documenting what my
That was
patient
thoughtful.
says is always
Preston
necessary.
moved to the foot of the bed
Do
and
you want
picked
me
up
to leave?
Thomas's water cup, checking it
I need
without
to know
offering
what
it to
kind
him.
of
But my uncle
cardiologist
has
you
had an
became.
exhausting day. We're arranging a transition
just
home
old
so he can
stories.
be comfortable. Thomas opened his eyes
I specialize
wider.
in
"You are
difficult
arranging
valve
it.
disease and
I
heart
have not agreed
infections.
to all of it." Preston's jaw tightened.
You have
for
no
less than a
position to
second.
revisit weeks of
"We
medical
discussed
decisions.
this, Uncle Thomas.
I have no
The
role
doctors
unless
have
Thomas
explained that more
requests one and
interventions
his
may only
doctors
prolong your
approve.
discomfort. They
Where is
explained
Dr.
many
Reed?
things while I was
He
half
is still on the
asleep.
unit.
Maya
Have him
reached
brought
for the
in.
chart tablet and quietly entered a note. Preston noticed. "Is that necessary?"
Why is Dr. Reed
"Documenting
needed?"
what my patient says is always necessary."
I
Maya
want to ask a
replied.
question
Annie
without
turned
having
back
it
to
answered
Thomas.
for me.
"Would you like me to leave?" "No." His answer came quickly enough to cost him another breath. "I would like to know what kind of cardiologist you became."
Did your
Uncle
mother
Thomas,
keep the receipt?
Now is not the time for old stories.
It stayed in her
Annie
Bible
saw
before I
Thomas's
kept
hand
it after
close
her
against
death.
the blanket. She answered him directly.
I'm
"I
sorry that
specialize
Grace
in
is
difficult
gone.
valve disease and
My
infections
mother had a
affecting the
good
heart."
life after
His casa
surgery.
held hers. For a moment, the room was quiet
Mr.
except
Whitmore,
for the
Miss
monitor.
Brooks.
Preston shifted
Thank you for
his
waiting.
portfolio under
We
one
have the
arm.
results from the
My
latest
uncle's
scans.
medical team has been managing his care for weeks.
Why did you want to speak
I'm
with
sure
me,
you
Thomas?
understand that arriving tonight does not place you in a position
I'd like
to
Dr.
revisit
Brooks to
every
review my
decision.
case.
I understand that I have no role unless Mr. Whitmore
He should be
requests
discharged
one and his
immediately,
treating
Doctor. We
physicians
discussed
approve
this.
it.
Preston,
Good.
enough.
Thomas
I appreciate
looked
your
toward Maya.
concern, but I'm
"Where's
staying put
Dr.
until a
Reed?"
cardiologist
"Still
clears
on the
me.
unit."
And your
she said.
specialty, Doctor?
"Ask him to come."
Complex valve
Preston stepped
disease and
closer to the
cardiac
bed.
infections.
"What for?"
Particularly
Thomas turned
prosthetic
to him
valves
slowly.
like Mr. Whitmore's.
"So I can ask a
This
question without
discussion
having
is
it
becoming
answered for me."
emotional rather than
Maya
medical.
left the room before Preston
medicine
could
should
object.
speak for
Annie
itself.
remained near the chair, uncertain whether touching
We can arrange
Thomas's
for
hand
Annie
again
to
would
review the
comfort him
record
or
as a
make
consulting
Preston's
physician.
accusation easier.
However,
Thomas
I must
salted
warn you
himself
that
by
the
reaching
review
for the
may
receipt.
not change the
His fingers
options.
missed its edge the first
Yes,
time.
I understand.
Annie placed
I am
it
requesting
carefully
the
in his
review
palm.
myself.
Your mother kept
Please
this.
note my
She
consent.
kept it in her Bible. After she died, I kept it.
Wait until tomorrow.
His thumb moved over his signature.
Tomorrow is what
"I'm
people
sorry she's
offer when
gone.
they want an old
She had a
man to
good
stop
life after the
asking
surgery.
questions tonight.
Not an easy one every day, but a good one.
I will arrange access
Thomas
to the
nodded
records and
faintly.
meet you in the consultation room.
That matters. The door opened again, and Dr. Samuel Reed entered with Maya behind him. He had gray hair, tired eyes,
Did your mother
and the
teach you
posture
that
of
gesture?
a physician accustomed to families wanting answers medicine could not always provide.
Her mother
Mr. Whitmore,
believed
you
a
wanted to
straight
speak with me?
blanket made a sick
Thomas looked at
person
Annie,
feel less
then back at
helpless.
Dr. Reed. I would like Dr. Brooks to review my case. Preston immediately said, "That is not appropriate." Dr. Reed raised a hand. "Let him speak." Thomas drew
I
a
hope you
careful
understand
breath.
that we have not
I
stopped caring
understand
for
she is
Thomas.
not on my team. I understand she knows me from before.
I don't assume you
But
stopped
she
caring.
is a cardiologist.
Thomas
and
is
I would
very
like her
sick,
opinion
and your
before I
review
agree
may
to
find
leave this
nothing
hospital.
missed.
Dr. Reed studied Annie. Your specialty? Complex valvular disease and cardiac infections. Something in his expression sharpened. You are aware Mr. Whitmore
If
has
they
a
find
prosthetic
nothing,
valve? I
At
was
least
told that
Thomas
much.
will know he was
Preston
given the
closed
truth
his
before
portfolio
anyone
with a
sends him
snap.
home to die.
This is becoming emotional rather
Are the
than
latest
medical.
labs uploaded yet?
Annie met his eyes.
Hold on, Annie. The system
Then
is
the simplest
incredibly slow
solution
tonight.
is to let the medicine speak for itself.
An
Dr.
old
Reed turned to
aortic
Thomas.
valve
I
replacement,
can arrange for Dr.
months of
Brooks to review the
fatigue,
record as a
fever,
consulting
breathlessness,
physician, provided you
swelling,
understand
and
that review
repeated
may not change
admissions.
our options.
The dental
Thomas
abscess
nodded.
was
I
treated months
understand.
ago, before
And
the
you are
fever.
requesting this yourself?
That's a long
I am.
incubation
Maya
period, but
documented the answer.
possible.
Preston stared at
Regarding
his
the
uncle,
transesophageal
displeasure slipping through his
echocardiogram.
polished
The images
restraint.
were limited by prosthetic
You're tired.
shadowing, and a small
We can
leak could
discuss
not be
this
fully
tomorrow.
explained.
Thomas settled deeper into his pillow, drained by the effort, but his voice remained clear. No, Preston. Tomorrow is what people offer when they want an
Look
old
at these
man to stop
markers.
asking
In
questions
isolation, they
tonight.
seem
Annie
unrelated.
felt
But if you
those words
overlay the
settle in the
timelines,
room.
the spikes match
Dr.
the
Reed
episodes.
motioned
They're the
toward
same
door.
pattern.
That would explain
Dr.
the
Brooks,
anomaly.
The key
I'll arrange
issues are the
access to the
prosthetic
records
valve and the
meet you in
culture
the
negative fever.
consultation room.
We're seeing worsening
Annie
heart
picked up her
failure,
bag.
likely a new
Before
leak,
leaving,
especially with the
she
confusion
adjusted the
during
blue
fevers.
blanket where it had
Based on
slipped
these
from
findings,
Thomas's
we're
knee.
looking at
He
prosthetic
looked down
valve
at her hand.
endocarditis,
Your
with an
mother taught you
abscess
that?
forming right here
Annie
around the
smiled
valve.
faintly. She believed
Dr.
a
Reed,
straight blanket made a sick
endocarditis
person
was
feel less
considered.
helpless.
Considered
Thomas
is not
closed his eyes.
excluded, especially
She was
when
right.
antibiotics may
Outside
have
the room,
hidden clean culture
Preston passed
results.
Annie without speaking.
Sending Thomas home
His
without
shoulder
naming the
brushed hers
possible
hard enough not
abscess
to
would
be
remove his
accidental.
chance to
Dr.
know
Reed
what is
led her
killing
toward
him.
the consultation area. I hope you
Thank you.
understand.
Now, about
said,
Thomas, have you noticed a
"We have not
pattern in his
stopped caring
confusion?
for him.
It usually
I don't
starts
assume you
around
have.
3 or 4
He is
a.m.
very sick.
Thomas is
I
not
can see
always
that.
confused.
And if you review
Fevers
this
make it
case,
worse.
you
On
may
clear
find
mornings,
nothing
he
we
still
missed."
jokes sharply
Annie
about
glanced back
foundation
toward
board
room
members and
714,
hospital oatmeal.
where Thomas
Have
lay
you
beneath
noticed
the
any
blue blanket
unusual
with her
pain or
mother's
skin
receipt beside
changes?
his fountain
Now that
pen.
you mention it,
Then I'll know
I
he
had
was
bruised
given the truth
fingertips and
before
this
anyone
small
sent him
red
home
spot
to die.
appeared.
The consultation room was narrow and windowless, with 2 computer stations, a wall-mounted monitor, and a coffee pot that looked as
The data
though it
on
had
the
been
left
left
monitor
on
is what
since morning
concerns me.
rounds.
We
Dr.
need to
Reed
analyze the
logged into
trends before the
Thomas's
morning
chart,
rounds.
then stepped aside so Annie could take the chair nearest the screen. "I'll give you the short version first," he said. "Mr. Whitmore had an aortic valve replacement 8 years ago. Until this year, he was stable.
I finished the login,
Over the
Annie.
past 4
The latest
months, he
results for
developed
Mr. Whitmore
fatigue,
are here.
Intermittent
Thank you,
fever,
Samuel.
worsening
I want to look
shortness of
specifically
breath
at the
and fluid
medication history
retention.
first.
As
He
you
has
can
been
see here,
admitted
the
3
markers are
times in 6
elevated.
weeks.
This confirms the
Cultures
diagnosis
have
we
been
suspected.
inconsistent.
We need to move
Antibiotics
quickly,
helped briefly,
but
then
deliberately.
the fevers returned.
Thomas
Any
Whitmore
recent
had an
procedures?
aortic valve
Annie asked.
replacement
A
8 years
dental
earlier
abscess treated
and
about
remained
5 months
stable
ago.
until this year.
Extraction and antibiotics.
The progression of
Annie
symptoms over the
stopped
past
scrolling
4 months.
before the fevers
Fatigue,
began.
intermittent
Several weeks
fever,
before the first
worsening
documented
shortness of
fever.
breath, and
She
fluid
leaned closer
retention.
to the screen.
Thomas has been admitted 3
When
times
was the
in
last
6 weeks,
transesophageal
with inconsistent cultures and
echocardiogram?
antibiotics
3
that
weeks
only
ago,
helped
it
briefly
was
before the
limited.
fevers returned.
Prosthetic shadowing made the images
Were there any
difficult to
recent
interpret.
procedures that
And
might
the leak
explain the
noted here?
recurrent fever?
Dr. Reed folded his arms. Small paravalvular leak.
Thomas had a
At the
dental
time,
abscess
we
treated
could not
about 5
establish
months
whether it was
earlier with
new or
extraction
clinically
and
significant.
antibiotics.
Annie opened the report and read it twice. Then she moved backward through the admissions, building the history in order rather than accepting the summaries written after Thomas had already been labeled
When
as
was the last
declining.
transesophageal
On his first
echocardiogram
admission,
done?
It was
he had
performed 3
complained
weeks
of
ago, but it was
exhaustion
limited
and
by
night
prosthetic
sweats.
shadowing, making the
His
images
fever was
difficult to
low.
interpret.
This
His
report
cultures were
mentions an
negative after
unauthorized data
antibiotics
leak
given
on
at an
page
urgent
3.
care clinic.
Can
He
you
had been
clarify the
discharged with
context around this
instructions to
specific
follow
entry,
up.
Samuel?
On his second
The finding
admission,
was a
his
small
legs were
perivalvular
swollen and his
leak,
breathing
and
had
that,
worsened.
at the time,
Imaging
they could
showed
not
reduced
determine whether it
cardiac
was
function
new or
and the
clinically
possible
significant.
leak around the valve. He had been treated for heart failure. The note described him as anxious about weakness, but otherwise appropriate. On his third admission, the
Thomas'
record
first
changed
admission
in
noted
tone.
exhaustion, night
Weakness
sweats, and a low
became
fever.
frailty.
Negative cultures led to
Confusion
antibiotics and
likely
discharge.
cognitive
But it
decline.
wasn't enough.
Look at this
Recurrent fever
pattern.
became nonspecific
Reduced function,
inflammation.
swollen legs,
Discussions of
and now
further
the valve
testing
leak.
began giving way to
It's
discussions of
escalating.
comfort. Annie pressed her thumb against her lower lip. What are you seeing? Dr. Reed asked. I'm seeing symptoms that may have been separated when they belonged together.
The
He did
tests
not
aren't
bristle.
showing us what we
Meaning?
hoped, Annie.
She reached for a
We need
marker
to consider
and stood before the
transitioning
glass
to
board
comfort
at the end
measures.
of the room. Prosthetic valve.
What are you
she said,
seeing?
writing each phrase
I see
as she
symptoms
spoke.
which
Recent
may have been
dental
separated
infection.
when they belong together.
Fever that may be culture. Negative.
The
because he
initial
received
suspicion was
antibiotics
correct.
before blood
We
was
are
drawn,
looking at an acute
worsening heart
myocardial
failure.
infarction here,
A
specifically
paravalvular
involving
leak
the left
that
ventricle.
no one can prove was old. Episodes of confusion that appear worse when he's febrile. Dr. Reed watched her. Annie drew a line beneath the findings. This may
We
be
have a culture-negative
prosthetic
fever
valve
caused by prior
endocarditis with an
antibiotics,
abscess
worsening
forming
heart
around
failure,
the
and an
valve.
unexplained
If the
valve leak.
infection has
We need to
damaged
connect
the
these
tissue around
diagnoses in
it,
real
that
time.
would
The
explain
condition
leak
may be
and why his
prosthetic
heart
valve
failure is progressing
endocarditis,
so quickly.
with an
We
abscess
considered
forming around the
endocarditis.
valve.
I know, but considered is not excluded.
Infection
He moved toward
damaging
the board.
tissue around the artificial
cultures never
valve
gave us
would
an
explain
organism.
both the leak
Not every
and the
infection
rapid
gives you a
worsening of
clean
heart
culture
failure.
After antibiotics.
Endocarditis
Did they have
had been
advanced
considered.
imaging beyond the limited echo? Not
Considered
recently.
is not excluded.
By the time his condition worsened, his renal
Cultures
function
never
was
identified
poor,
an organism or
Ain't
and
I?
every procedure came with another
Antibiotics
risk.
can erase clean
Annie
evidence
nodded.
before blood is drawn.
That concern is valid.
Was advanced
But if there is an
imaging done
abscess
beyond the
around the
limited
valve,
echo?
Sending him
Not
home
recently.
does not spare
Kidney
him from
function
the
was
disease.
poor, and every
It
procedure
only
carried
removes the
risk.
chance of naming it.
Sending the
Dr.
patient
Reed
home would
studied the
not
reports
spare him
again.
from disease
Fatigue
if an
showed in his
abscess
face,
exists.
but so did attention. You think we moved too
Avoiding
quickly toward
diagnosis
hospice?
only
I
removes
think he
the chance
deserves
of
a fresh
naming the
assessment
disease.
before that decision becomes irreversible. The door opened and Maya stepped in with a cup
Did we
of
move
coffee
too
in each
quickly
hand.
toward hospice?
I heard there were 2 doctors
The
in here
patient
pretending
deserves a
caffeine
fresh
is
assessment
optional.
before the decision becomes
She placed one
irreversible.
cup beside Dr.
We
Reed
need to
and
monitor
offered
the
other
BMP
to Annie.
closely overnight.
Thank you.
Thought you two
Annie
could use
said.
a refill.
It's terrible, but
perfect
warm.
timing. Thanks,
Annie
Sarah.
accepted it. Can I ask you a few things
terrible,
about
but
Mr.
it's
Whitmore's
warm.
confusion?
Much
Maya pulled
much
a chair near the
appreciated.
table. Go ahead. Is he confused all the time? No.
Tell me
Evenings
more
are
about the
harder.
patient's
Fevers make it
confusion.
worse.
What have you observed
Some
at the
mornings he can
bedside?
tell you which board
He
members
seems
are wasting
particularly
foundation
disoriented
money
during the
and why
evenings.
hospital oatmeal should be
Confusion is
investigated
not
by the
constant.
state.
Evenings are
Dr.
worse.
Reed
Fevers
gave a tired
intensify
breath
it,
that
and
was
some
almost
mornings
a
the
laugh.
patient is sharp enough
Has
to
he
criticize
complained of pain
foundation
anywhere
spending and
unusual?
hospital oatmeal.
Annie asked.
I'd like to
Maya
ask specifically
considered.
about any unusual
His
pain you've
fingertips.
experienced.
Well, there were the bruised
2 or 3
fingertips.
days
We
ago,
just
he said they
dismissed it
felt
as
bruised,
arthritis or poor
though
circulation
he
at the
hadn't
time.
struck them. One of the residents thought it was arthritis or poor circulation. Annie looked at Dr. Reed. He had already turned back to the
Were there
chart.
any documented
skin
skin changes we missed?
documented? She asked.
Yes, the nursing
Maya
notes
nodded.
mention a small red spot on one finger.
I entered it in my nursing notes.
Wait, the red spot.
Annie found the
It's
entry.
meaningful now.
It was minor
Listed the
by
fever,
itself.
the prosthetic
Easy to
valve,
dismiss
and the
in
new
an older
leak.
man with multiple illnesses. Alongside the fever, the prosthetic valve.
If you're right, we're
and the
looking
new
at more
leak,
than
It became
antibiotics.
another piece of the
Possibly
same question.
surgery.
Dr. Reed slowly sat down.
The surgery is necessary,
If you're right,
but it is dangerous.
He would need more than
Still,
antibiotics.
we cannot let
Yes.
fear deny the
He might
patient
need
the
surgery.
question.
Yes.
I
He
explicitly
may be
told
too
you
sick
I
to
wanted to be
survive it.
present for any
Annie set
discussion
the
of the
marker down.
prognosis. What
He
is
may
this
be,
board?
Sir,
but he should not be
we are
denied the
following
question
standard procedure.
because the answer
What
frightens
exactly is
us.
happening here?
The
I
door
demand to
swung
know.
open before Dr.
The
Reed could
cardiologist
reply.
is simply reviewing your uncle's
Preston
records,
Whitmore entered
as he
without
requested.
knocking. His
I
expression
expected a
shifted
courtesy
when he saw
review,
the glass
not
board.
rebuilding a treatment
What
plan my
exactly
uncle
is
no
happening
longer
here?
needs.
Dr.
The current
Reed
medical
stood.
evidence
Dr.
suggests
Brooks
this is necessary,
reviewing your
sir.
uncle's
The
records at
patient
his
requires
request.
additional
I
evaluation
understood
based on
that
these
as a courtesy
findings.
review.
Oh, so
Not
this
an
is about your
exercise in
personal
rebuilding a
attachment,
treatment
not the
plan he
medicine.
no longer needs.
Prosthetic
Annie
valve,
faced him.
recurrent
Your
fever,
uncle has findings
worsening
that may
heart
justify
failure,
additional
possible new
evaluation.
leak,
Preston
and
gave a short
neurological
laugh.
changes.
Based on what?
The man is
a few
simply
hours with a
weak
chart
and confused.
a personal attachment to a man who
Uncontrolled
wrote a check for her
infections
family.
can cause those
Based on
symptoms
his
too.
prosthetic valve, recurrent fever.
Are you
worsening
seriously
heart
entertaining
failure,
this?
Possible new leak and neurological
Further
changes.
imaging may
He
clarify
is
something
70,
not fully
2
captured.
years old and gravely ill. Old people get
We
weak.
simply cannot
Old
let him
people get
suffer anymore,
confused.
Doctor.
People with
It
uncontrolled
is time to
infections
consider
do
his
too.
quality of life.
Preston looked at Dr. Reed. Are you seriously
Don't pretend this is
entertaining
about
this?
medicine.
Dr. Reed
You're here
answered
because of
carefully.
some misplaced sense of
I am
gratitude,
seriously
trying to repay
considering
an
whether
old
further
debt with a
imaging would
sentimental
clarify
story.
a condition we may not have fully
Hope
captured.
can become cruelty
My uncle
when
has
forced on
suffered
a
enough.
dying man.
Maya, standing near the door, kept her eyes on Preston. Annie noticed the sentence had not included what Thomas wanted. Preston stepped nearer to the glass board and glanced over the words Annie had written. You arrived
I
tonight
want to be
with a
clear. I am
sentimental
not
story,
forcing
Dr.
treatment.
Brooks.
I am asking
I
for
understand
enough
why you would
information
want to
so you can
believe there is
decide
some
for yourself.
perfect way way to repay him.
But can she
But
really
hope
make this
can become
decision
cruelty
clearly right now?
when it is forced on
Her
a dying
lucidity
man.
is precisely why we
For a
must
moment,
respect her wishes
Annie
in this
felt the sting
moment.
of it because the fear was already inside her.
Imaging and infectious
She had
disease
wondered
will
the
be
same thing
consulted in the
car,
morning,
outside
with
Thomas's
risks
room,
discuss her
while
during a
reading his
lucid
chart.
interval.
She had asked herself
can't
whether
actually
she
be
was
considering
looking for
this. He wasn't
medicine
thinking
or
clearly.
forgiveness.
Mr. Harrison,
Then she
the
remembered
patient was
Thomas
fully
saying he
oriented
was
when he
tired,
signed this directive.
not
We are
finished.
legally bound
I am
to
not
follow his
asking
wishes.
anyone to force treatment on him, she said. I am asking that he receive enough information to decide for himself. Preston's mouth tightened. When
The
he is
nephew
clear enough
visits
to make
every
that
day, but never
decision.
asks whether his
Exactly.
uncle is frightened.
Dr. Reed moved to the
Everyone to
computer.
stay with what can be
I'll
documented.
consult imaging and infectious disease in the morning. We will discuss the risks with Mr. Whitmore during a lucid interval. Preston turned toward him. I object. Noted, Dr. Reed said. But Mr. Whitmore requested Dr. Brooks's review while he was oriented and able to state his wishes. Preston looked at Annie for another second, then walked out. The room grew quiet after the door closed. Maya crossed her arms. He visits every day and never once asks whether his uncle is frightened. Dr. Reed picked up his coffee but did not drink it. Let's stay with what we can document. Annie appreciated the reminder. Anger could sharpen suspicion, but
Whether
it
you
could
found
not replace
anything.
proof. She returned to the board and added one final
Mr.
line beneath
Jones,
the others.
we have a clearer
One
picture
more
now.
complete look
There is
before
a specific
surrender.
reason for
Then
your
she went back to
symptoms,
Thomas's
which means
room
we can
shortly
run more
before
targeted
dawn.
tests.
He was sleeping.
Is
The
that
blue
good
blanket
news?
had slipped away from one ankle.
It is
Annie
honest
pulled
news.
it gently into place, careful not to wake him. His eyes opened anyway. Did you find anything? He asked, his voice dry. Annie stood beside the bed. I found a reason to ask for more tests. Thomas breathed in slowly. Is that good news? It is honest news. He considered that. Then gave a
Tomorrow
faint
they
nod.
start.
Honest will do, he said. I've had enough people trying to make the ending easier to explain. Annie looked at the old receipt lying beside his fountain pen. Then tomorrow,
Tomorrow
she
they
said,
start with the
we
truth.
start with the truth. By 8 the next morning, the snow had stopped, leaving the windows along the cardiac floor washed in pale winter light. Annie had gone home only long
Good
enough
morning.
to shower and change clothes.
How are we
When
feeling
she
today, Mr.
returned,
B?
Thomas
He had a
was
good
awake,
night, Dr. A.
sitting higher in
Vitals
bed
are
while
stable.
Maya adjusted the tray in front of him. The oatmeal remained untouched.
Good morning.
I told her it was an insult to breakfast.
How are you feeling today,
Thomas
Mr.
said
Jones?
when Annie
A
entered.
little weak, but
Maya
much
handed
better,
him a
thank
cup
you.
of water.
They
You
call
told me
this
it violated
breakfast.
your constitutional rights.
I think it's
I
still
was
in a coma.
feverish. My language may have been
It
dramatic.
looks cozy, at
Annie
least.
smiled, then studied him
Here's your
carefully.
water, Drama King.
His face was tired.
Try not to
but
expel
his
it
eyes were
dramatically this
clearer than
time.
they had been during the night. Dr. Reed came in
You
behind
wound
her
me,
with
nurse.
a tablet in his hand.
His gaze is clearer,
Good morning,
but he
Mr.
is still
Whitmore.
exhausted.
I'd like to
The
discuss
monitor shows his
what
levels
Dr. Brooks
stabilizing.
noticed in your records.
Let's look at the tablet.
Thomas glanced at Annie. She found
Good
something
morning.
worth waking me for?
Now that we're
She
all
found a
here,
pattern worth
I want to discuss
investigating,
something
Dr.
important
Reed
the
said.
cardiologist
You have
noticed
an
in your
artificial
records.
heart valve. You've also
We've
had
uncovered a
recurrent
specific
fevers,
pattern in the
worsening
data,
heart
sir,
failure,
that
and a
suggests
possible leak
your
around that
artificial heart
valve.
valve may
They're
be
concerned
central
there
to the
may be an
ongoing
infection
issues.
involving the valve
The
or
pattern
tissue
shows
around it.
recurrent
Thomas
fevers,
absorbed the
worsening
words
heart
without
failure,
interrupting.
and a
if
possible
there
leak
is,
around the
It
valve.
may require a combination of strong antibiotics and surgery.
What does that mean,
Annie
if
said.
the infection is
But
truly
before
there?
anyone talks about treatment, we need better images.
The
and more
condition may
specific
require
testing.
strong antibiotics and
He looked
even
at the
surgery.
oxygen line
But before
beneath
we
his
start
nose.
treatment, we need to
Will the
get better
tests
images
hurt?
and run
One of
specific
them may
tests.
be uncomfortable.
Will the tests
Dr.
be
Reed
painful?
answered. We would sedate you
I'm a
for
little
it.
concerned.
The imaging also
We
carries
understand,
some risk
and we will
because of
make
how
sure
sick
you are as
already
comfortable
are.
as possible.
But without it,
This
we may
next
not know
test may
whether
be
there is a
uncomfortable,
treatable
but we
cause
will
for your
sedate
decline.
you.
Thomas
The
turned
imaging
toward
itself
Annie.
carries risks
And
because
you
you are
believe this is
already
worth
so
doing?
sick.
Annie
Without
pulled a
further
chair nearer
imaging,
to
we
his
may
bed,
never know whether
but she
there is
did
a
not sit
treatable
until he
cause for your
nodded.
decline.
I believe there is a
Do you
real
truly
medical
believe
question
this is
here,
worth doing?
she said.
I do.
I also believe you have the right to know the answer before anyone asks
I
you to go
believe there
home
is a
and prepare
real
to
medical
die.
question
Thomas
that
stared at
deserves
her
an
for several
answer.
seconds.
You have the
Then he
right
looked
to know
toward
the
the
truth
window.
before anyone
Eleanor
sends you
hated
home to
hospitals,
prepare for
he
death.
said quietly. My wife. We had no money when she first got sick.
She hated
She
hospitals
delayed appointments
and that
because
they
we
had
were
no
frightened of
money
bills.
when she first became
By
sick.
the time we had answers
The fear
did
of the
not buy
bills
much
delayed
time.
her appointments.
Annie felt her throat tighten.
By the time we
My
had
mother told
answers,
me that was why
those
you helped
answers
people.
couldn't buy much
I
time.
helped because I could never go back
My mother
and help
once
her.
said that was why you helped
He
people.
looked down at his hands.
I helped because I could never
Does
go
that
back
sound
and help my
selfish to a
wife.
doctor?
Does
No,
that sound
Annie
selfish?
said. It
Your
sounds
reason does
human.
not sound
the door
selfish,
opened before
but
Thomas
human.
could respond. Preston walked in carrying coffee and a folded newspaper.
What is this
When he
meeting?
saw Annie and Dr. Reed at the bedside,
This is a conversation
he
about
stopped.
my heart.
What is this meeting? Thomas answered before either physician could speak.
You were
A
exhausted last
conversation
night.
about my heart.
The doctor
Preston
agrees
set the
you need to
coffee
focus
down.
on getting comfortable,
Uncle
not
Thomas,
making more big decisions
you
right
were
now.
exhausted last night.
I was told to focus
we
on
agreed we should
comfort.
focus on comfort.
This
No,
decision was
you told
pushed
me I
onto
should
me.
focus
It
on
was not
comfort.
freely
You
chosen.
said you did not want heroic measures.
I don't want to
I
be
do not
kept
want to be
alive
kept
when there is no
alive when
path
there is no
forward.
path forward.
But I
That
also
does not
refuse
mean
to
I
let
want you
anyone
closing
close
the
that path before I can
it.
see it.
Preston's gaze moved
Forgive
to
me,
Annie.
doctor, but your enthusiasm
This is
for
exactly
dangerous
what I was
testing
concerned
suggests
about.
less concern for the
She
patient
arrives
and
with a
more for your
personal
own
history,
professional
and
interests.
suddenly you're being led toward
Owen is
dangerous
leading the
testing.
patient,
Annie kept her
explaining
voice
that the
even.
physician is
No
presenting
one is
medical
leading him.
options, and the patient
Dr.
is
Reed
deciding for
explaining
himself.
medical options.
He is clearly
Mr.
intermittently
Whitmore is
confused, and I've
deciding
seen it all
whether he
morning.
wants them.
Respectfully,
He is intermittently
Mr. Smith has been
confused.
alert and
Maya
oriented
stepped
during my
forward from the
rounds.
monitor.
Mentioned.
This morning he
The patient correctly
identified
himself,
his
the
location,
hospital,
the date,
his diagnosis,
as it has been
and the
explained,
purpose of the conversation.
and the purpose
Are you
of this
determining
conversation.
capacity?
Preston's expression
I
cooled.
am documenting
Are
my
you determining
patient's
capacity
condition.
now? I am documenting my patient's condition.
In your own
Maya
words,
said.
can you explain what the
Dr.
team
Reed
is
pulled a
concerned
consent
about
form
regarding your
onto his
heart?
tablet.
As I understand it, the
Mr.
main
Whitmore,
concern is the blockage
I
and the
to
need
ask
for the
in your own
stent.
words.
The doctors suspect
What do
an
you understand
infection
we are
involving my
concerned about?
replacement
Thomas
valve,
exhaled
possibly
slowly.
causing the leak and
A
worsening my
possible
heart
infection
failure.
involving my replacement
What do you understand
valve.
about the tests we discussed?
It may
I
be
understand
causing
they
the
may
leak
reveal whether
and
the
making my
suspected
heart
infection
fail.
is true, while
What
also
do you
acknowledging
understand
they are
about the
not without
tests?
risk.
They may show
If severe
whether that is
infection is
true.
found, I may
They
need
are not
surgery
without
and may
risk.
die whether I
And if
choose
we find
surgery or
severe
not.
infection,
Do you want to
I may
proceed
need
with the
surgery,
diagnostic
and I may
evaluation?
die whether I
The
choose
pen,
surgery or
please.
not. Dr. Reed nodded.
I've made my
Do you want to
choice.
proceed with further diagnostic evaluation? Thomas extended one hand toward the bedside
Are you
drawer.
sure about this?
My pen.
Please, just
Maya
think
opened the
about what you
drawer
are
and handed
doing.
him the black fountain pen. Preston stepped closer. Uncle Thomas.
Thinking is
please think about
precisely
you're
what he
doing.
is doing.
Thomas looked up at him. That is precisely what I am doing. His hand trembled while signing. But the letters remained readable. Annie watched the pen cross the paper, remembering the same dark ink beneath her mother's name. Preston left before the ink had dried. The first test was arranged for late morning. Annie waited outside the procedure area, while Dr. Reed remained with the imaging team. She could not decide whether standing still was worse than pacing, so she alternated between both. Maya passed once and placed a paper cup of coffee near Annie without
Come
comment.
inside, doctor.
Nearly an hour
You need
later,
to look at this.
Dr. Reed appeared in the doorway. His
This
expression
area
told
around the
Annie
artificial
before he
valve
spoke.
is showing
Come
clear
look.
signs of
Inside
endocarditis.
the reading room,
Confirmed.
an enlarged
We
image
need
of
to start
Thomas's
treatment
heart filled the
immediately.
screen. Dr.
The
Reed
leak
pointed
is
to the
larger
area
than
around the
previously
artificial
appreciated,
valve.
and this
There, he said,
suspicious
the
region
leak is
concerns
larger
an
than we
abscess around the
appreciated,
valve.
And this region here is concerning for an abscess around the valve. Annie moved closer, following the damaged line of tissue, the irregular pocket where infection had been hiding behind
It appears to be
imperfect earlier
prosthetic
images.
valve
He has
endocarditis.
prosthetic valve endocarditis.
And the complications
she
are
said.
clearly
With destructive
destructive.
complications, Dr. Reed replied. You were right. There was no triumph in it. Only the heavy knowledge that they had found the answer because Thomas was even closer to danger than they
Can the
feared.
patient survive
Can
the
he
surgery?
survive surgery?
I honestly
Annie
don't
asked.
know.
Dr. Reed folded his
Antibiotics
arms.
might slow
I don't
the
know,
disease, but it won't
without
cure it.
Antibiotics may slow this down and not much more. They
Mr.
went
Miller.
to Thomas's room together.
There you are.
He was resting.
How are you feeling
pale
after the procedure?
test, but
Well,
opened
Doc,
his eyes
is it
when
the
Annie
valve?
touched the bed rail.
Yes, we found an
Well,
infection
he
around
asked.
the valve.
Annie sat
We're going to
beside
start
him.
you on
We found an
antibiotics
infection
immediately.
around your valve.
The infection
It
has damaged
some of
nearby
the tissue
tissue,
nearby.
and that this
That
damage is
your
why the
heart is
patient's
getting
heart
weaker.
has been getting
Thomas
weaker.
took in the news, then gave a small, tired
not
nod.
simply old and
So I'm not simply
inconvenient.
old and
You
inconvenient.
are very sick.
No, Annie
but now
said.
we know why.
You are very sick, but now we know why. He looked
We
at
need to
Dr.
begin
Reed.
targeted treatment
What happens
immediately.
next? We start
I am
targeted
consulting with
treatment
cardiac
immediately,
surgery right
Dr.
now.
Reed said, and we consult cardiac surgery.
We have to be
The
clear.
operation
The
would be
surgery
high
carries
risk.
significant
Thomas
risks.
turned back to Annie.
It's a complex
She did not
procedure,
soften the
and your
truth for
condition
him.
makes it
It is
particularly
dangerous,
hazardous.
she said.
The operation is dangerous.
But this is a
but
fight
this is
with
now
a
a
name
fight
now.
with a name.
He closed his
I
eyes for a
understand.
moment.
Let's
when he
do
opened
this.
them, his voice was weak but certain. Then I want to fight the
I
thing
want to
that has a
fight
name.
the thing that has
Annie
a
rested her
name.
hand lightly over his. Outside the room, Preston stood at the end of the corridor.
We
listening
need
as
an
Dr.
immediate
Reed
surgical
called
consult for the
surgical
patient in
consult.
room 3.
For the first
It's
time
urgent.
since
Get the
Annie
team
had
ready now.
returned, Hope entered Thomas Whitmore's hospital room. And for the first time, Preston looked afraid of it. The antibiotics began before noon. A clear bag of medication hung beside Thomas's bed, dripping into the line in his arm while Dr. Reed explained
The
that
infection has
had
likely been attacking
working
your heart
against his
for weeks,
weeks,
perhaps even months.
A
We need to
cardiac
begin
surgeon would
aggressive
review the
treatment
images that
immediately.
afternoon.
A cardiac
Until then,
surgeon will
all
review
they
the
could do
scans
was
later
support
this
his failing
afternoon.
heart,
Until then,
control
we
the
can only
infection
support
as
the
much as
failing heart,
possible,
fight the
and wait for
infection,
his body
and
to
wait.
show whether it could withstand
Well, you
an
certainly
operation.
have a way with
Thomas
words,
listened with his
Doctor.
eyes half closed.
Bleak, yes, but
When Dr. Reed
remarkably
finished,
organized.
he said, You have a talent for making terrible choices sound orderly. Dr. Reed managed a brief smile. It is part of the job. Annie remained
The imaging
beside the
confirms
window,
significant damage
resisting
to the
urge
left
to fill the
ventricle.
silence
We
with
need to discuss the
reassurance.
options, but they are limited.
Thomas had
I
asked for the
understand.
truth.
Thank you, Doctor.
The truth
Infection
was
has
that
damaged
they had
tissue
found
around the
enemy
artificial
late.
valve,
When the
and
surgeon
replacing the
arrived,
valve and removing the
conversation
infected
became
area may be
harder.
the only meaningful chance of
Dr. Laura
recovery.
Chen was
Your
direct,
heart is weak, your
with a
kidneys
calm
are under
voice that did not
strain,
hide the
and the
stakes.
operation
The
itself
infection has
carries
damaged
extremely
tissue around
high
your
risk.
valve, she said. Replacing the valve and cleaning out the
What
infected
happens if
area
I do
may be your
nothing?
only chance of meaningful recovery. But your heart is weak. Your kidneys are under
Antibiotics
strain.
and comfort care can
And the surgery
continue,
itself
but
carries a
medication
very
alone
high
is
risk.
unlikely to save
Thomas
his
looked
life
from
because the
Dr. Chen
structural
to Annie.
damage is already severe.
If I do nothing,
He has heard enough,
Dr.
Doctor.
Chen
He
did
shouldn't
not
be
look
put through an
away.
operation
We
that
can
he won't
continue
survive.
antibiotics
Sir,
and
we need
keep
to
you
discuss the
comfortable.
options.
There's
But with
nothing
the
more to
structural
discuss.
damage
My
already
decision is
present,
final.
I do not believe medication
appreciate
alone
your
will save your
concern,
life.
But
Preston
my
stood
remaining
near the
days
foot
are
of the
mine
bed,
alone to
arms
decide.
crossed. That is enough, he said. He has heard
I've
the
told you,
risks.
I am
We are
only
not
looking
putting him
out
through
for
an
his best
operation he is
interests.
unlikely to
Why
survive.
won't you just listen
Thomas
to
turned
me?
his head toward him. I do not recall appointing
You're preying
you the
on his
owner of my
gratitude,
remaining
aren't you?
days. I'm trying to protect
Giving him
you
false hope
from
just so
treatment or
he'll
from
thank
delay.
you.
Preston's face flushed.
No
From
one
being
offered
cut
false
open
hope,
because a woman
only
who
a
owes you
confirmed
gratitude
diagnosis
walked
and a
in
possible
gave you
treatment,
false hope.
insisting the
Annie
decision
felt the
belongs
words
to the
strike
patient
room,
while he can still
but she
make
kept
it.
her voice level.
Please, just give me a moment.
one offered
I need
false
time
hope.
to understand
He
everything,
has
but
a
I am
confirmed
considering the
diagnosis and
surgery.
a possible treatment.
I am not refusing it.
That decision belongs to him. while he can
Documenting the
make it.
patient's explicit
Thomas raised his
request
hand
for comfort
slightly.
measures only.
Enough.
We will ensure these
Dr.
wishes
Chen.
are honored.
I need time to
I
understand
am recording
this.
only the sentences your
But I
uncle
want it noted
specifically
that I am
asked not to
considering
lose.
surgery.
My charting reflects
I am
his
not
exact
refusing
words and
it.
wishes, as required by
Maya,
policy.
standing
Be
beside
honest,
the
Doctor.
medication pump,
Do they still
entered the
serve that
statement
dreadful
into his
rubber
chart.
chicken at the donor
Preston
dinners?
looked at her.
I'm
You
afraid
seem
some
determined to
traditions are
record every
sacred,
sentence
Mr.
that makes
Jones.
this more
That's a
difficult.
keeper, Mr.
Maya did
Williams. You
not
gave
lift
us all
her
a good
eyes from the
laugh.
screen.
Glad
Only
I
the
could help,
sentences
Doc.
my
Me
patient
too.
asks not to
Now,
lose.
regarding the
That
next steps
evening,
for your
Thomas
recovery.
seemed better for an hour.
Doctor, you don't have
His
to
fever
sit with
came
me all
down.
night.
And he
Even I
asked
need
Annie
my
whether
beauty
hospital
sleep, you know?
administrators still served rubber chicken at donor dinners.
Watching people
She told him
breathe,
she
that's
avoided donor
normal for a
dinners whenever
cardiologist.
possible. Wise, he said. People reveal their worst ideas over overcooked chicken.
Did your mother ever
Annie
resent
laughed
needing
softly,
help?
relieved to hear his humor return. He studied her face. You do not need to sit here all night.
She
I
hated
know.
being the reason
You
I
have
had to
patients of
beg
your
at the
own.
hospital counter.
I saw them this morning.
The
And now you are
humiliation of
watching
it
me
never
breathe.
really leaves you.
I am a cardiologist.
Her
Watching
mother
people
later
breathe
said
is not
doctors could
unusual.
not operate on a
Thomas
closed
smiled,
door,
then grew
and he
quiet.
was the one who opened it.
Did your mother ever resent needing help?
Her
Annie
mother
looked down at
sounds
her
wiser
hands.
than most people he
At
spent
first,
his life listening to.
She hated that I had to ask you. She hated being the reason I stood at that
The murmur
counter.
is slightly
I worried
louder.
about that
He's
afterward.
crashing!
I worried that helping her might make her feel small.
Get the crash
She
cart
did
in
not
here
feel
now.
small for long.
Mr. Jones, can you
Annie
hear
leaned
me?
forward.
Can you hear me?
She said the doctors could not operate on a
We're
closed
losing him.
door,
Get the crash
and
cart.
you opened it. Thomas closed
Page,
his
rapid
eyes.
response.
She sounds
I need
wiser
2
than
large
most
bore
people I
IVs
spent
and a
my
central
life
line
listening
kit
to.
immediately.
She was.
Get this airway
His
secured.
breathing grew uneven before he could answer.
We're losing him. Get
The
that levo
monitor
drip
changed
wide open
rhythm.
now.
Its
Yes,
alarm
doctor.
cutting through the quiet.
Increasing the dosage.
Maya moved instantly, calling for assistance while Annie stepped back to give the treating team room. Mr. Whitmore, can you hear me? Maya asked. Thomas tried to answer, but only a broken breath came out.
Doctor, we need you
Reed
back in the
arrived
unit
within
now.
moments,
The
followed
patient
by 2
stabilized
nurses and a
briefly, but his
respiratory
rhythm is
therapist.
deteriorating
His
again.
instructions
It's
were
critical.
quick and controlled.
The infection is
Oxygen
overwhelming the
increased.
patient.
Medication
Surgery
was
must
adjusted.
happen soon if there is
Another
any
line
chance
was
of
prepared.
survival.
Annie stood near the door.
He cannot
watching
consent right now.
Thomas's blood
We are
pressure
not
fall on the
authorizing this
screen.
emergency
Dr.
operation.
Reed
He will
looked
die
toward her
tonight
once.
without it.
It
The
might kill
alarm
him
in his
anyway.
face was enough.
He expressed
After they
interest in the
stabilized
surgery
Thomas
while he was
temporarily,
lucid.
Interest
he was
is not
exhausted and
consent to a
barely
deadly
responsive.
emergency procedure.
Dr.
We need
Reed
to
called
consider the
Dr.
legal
Chen back to
concerns.
the unit.
They must
They
review
spoke outside the
documentation
room
for
while
specific
Preston paced
directions
several
about
feet away.
deterioration.
The infection is overwhelming him, Dr. Chen said.
The
He may
documents
not
are
be stable
explicit.
enough to wait for
My uncle
improvement.
did not want
If we
this.
operate, it has to be
We are
soon.
withdrawing
Preston
intervention
stepped
and
between
moving to
them.
comfort care.
No.
He understood the
He is
diagnosis.
in
We
no
need to move
condition
forward
to
with the
consent to
surgery now.
anything
The
now.
record has to show
He expressed
emergency
interest in
authorization,
surgery
Doctor.
while
We can't
lucid,
proceed without
Annie
it.
said. Interest is not
The
consent
record.
to an emergency procedure that could would kill him tonight. Dr.
The
Reed
record.
said, we need to review the documentation and determine whether he gave
What are you
specific
doing?
direction
You can't
regarding
access his records without my approval.
Preston pulled a
We have
folded
verbal
packet from his
consent.
portfolio.
We need to check the labs now.
I have his healthcare proxy and his prior wishes. He did not want prolonged invasive measures. I am instructing you to keep him comfortable. Annie stared through the glass.
The patient
at Thomas.
asked me to
The
document
man
his
who had asked
wishes
for truth
after the
that morning now
cardiologist
lay under
left
the blue
because he
blanket with
feared
his mouth
someone would
slightly
later
open,
pretend he had
too weak
changed
to
his
tell anyone
mind.
he had not chosen
My
surrender.
instructions are
Dr.
detailed in the
Reed,
accompanying
she said.
document. Please ensure
He
they are
understood the
followed
diagnosis.
precisely. This pen
He
confirms
understood
my
surgery
intent.
might become
I
necessary.
understand I have an
I know.
infection around my
Dr.
artificial
Reed's
heart
voice was
valve,
strained.
and that
But if there is
surgery
a
may be
challenge to
necessary,
capacity,
even
and
if I
no
could die
documented
during it.
emergency
I
authorization,
authorize you to
we need the
operate if my
record.
condition worsens
Maya,
and I cannot speak,
who had been
provided
standing
you believe
beside
it
the
offers a
charting
meaningful
station.
chance to survive.
Suddenly
We
looked
understand.
up.
The cardiologist
record,
did
she
not
said.
pressure him,
She turned
and that
and
she
walked
found
quickly
what was
toward the
killing him
computer
when he
alcove.
had nearly been
Preston
sent
called
home
after
without
her.
knowing.
What are you doing? She did not answer. Annie followed her to the station. Maya opened Thomas's chart, searched through nursing attachments, then
We need to
stopped at a
mobilize
video
immediately.
file dated
Get the team
previous
ready.
afternoon.
Clear the path. We're
He
heading
asked
to
me
the OR
document
now.
this
Hold on,
after
you
you
can't.
left, Maya said.
It's out of your hands.
He said he did not want anyone pretending
The
later
objection
that he
will
had
be
changed his
documented,
mind simply
and
because he
so
could not
will the
speak.
patient's
Dr.
decision.
Reed joined them. Maya pressed play. Thomas appeared on the screen, pale but alert.
Consent
His fountain
confirmed.
pen
Are the
visible
meds
on
ready?
tray beside
Yes,
him.
heading down
I
now.
understand I have an infection around my artificial heart valve. His recorded
Brakes are
voice
off,
said.
rolling.
I
We're moving him
understand
to the
surgery
OR
may
now.
become necessary,
Stay with us,
and
you're
that
doing
I may
great.
die during it. If my condition worsens and I cannot speak
Doctor
for myself,
Williams.
I authorize the physicians treating me to operate if they believe it gives me a meaningful chance to survive. Dr.
Did
Annie
you find the
Brooks
truth?
did not pressure me. She found
I'm
what was
here.
making me die when I had nearly been sent home without knowing. No one spoke when the recording ended.
Yes.
Preston's face had gone still. Dr. Reed looked at
They
Dr.
must
Chen.
not let the
Can you
truth
assemble
be
the team?
wasted.
She nodded. Immediately. Preston
You
took a
chose
step
this
forward.
chance,
I object.
and we
Dr.
are
Reed
going
turned
to
me.
honor it.
Your objection will be documented. So will his decision. Within minutes, the corridor filled with purposeful movement. Nurses prepared medications. Surgical consent documentation was verified. Thomas's bed was unlocked for transport. Annie approached as they wheeled him toward the elevator. His eyes fluttered open once. Annie, he murmured, I'm here. Did we find the truth? She took his hand carefully. Yes, Sid. He swallowed, barely able to speak. Then don't let them waste it. Annie leaned closer. You chose this chance. We are going to honor it. His fingers loosened as the medication took hold. The elevator doors closed around the surgical team, leaving Annie in the corridor with Grace's old receipt in her pocket and Thomas's life moving beyond her reach. 22 years earlier, she had waited behind hospital doors for news of her mother. Now she sat beneath the same cold lights and understood that a promise could bring you back to someone, but it could not make the waiting hurt less. The surgical waiting room had been renovated since Annie sat there for Grace. But no renovation could make waiting humane. The chairs were softer now. There were charging stations beneath the tables and a coffee machine that accepted credit cards. On one wall, a television played a muted weather report showing snow over the lakefront. None of it gave Annie a place to put her fear. She sat with her medical bag at her feet, and Thomas's old receipt folded inside her palm. The paper had been protected for years, yet she worried at the plastic sleeve with her thumb.
The
until
family of
edge
Mr.
warmed
David
against her
Miller,
skin.
please.
A nurse passed through the room and called another family's name. Two women rose together.
Paging the
One
family of
gripping
Miss
the other's
Johnson.
arm.
It's time.
Annie
Let's
kept her
go.
eyes lowered. She knew too much about what could happen in an operating room to comfort herself with simple promises, and too much about Thomas to pretend he was merely a case being handled somewhere beyond a set of locked doors. Annie, she
Annie?
looked up.
There
Dr.
you
Parker
are.
stood near
I
the
brought you
entrance,
something to eat.
her cane in one hand
look cold.
and a paper sack in the other. Snow
What are
had
you
left
doing
small
here so
wet
late,
marks
Dr.
across the
Parker?
shoulders
Well,
of her coat.
retirement means
What are
no
you
one
doing here
tells
this
me where
late?
I may sit
Annie asked,
anymore.
standing. I was retired before you became a cardiologist. No one tells me where I may sit anymore. Dr. Parker lowered herself into the chair beside her.
I
and
cannot
placed the
eat.
sack
I did
between
not ask.
turkey sandwich,
Because Grace would
apple
haunt me
slices,
if I let you
coffee
wait
that
through
may
another
offend you
surgery on an
professionally.
empty stomach.
I can't eat. I didn't ask whether you wanted to.
Thomas was
I
awake
brought it
when they
because
took
your
him down
mother
for
would haunt me
surgery.
if I let you wait through another surgery on an empty stomach. At the mention of Grace,
He was
Annie
awake
looked
enough
back
to
at the
ask
receipt.
whether they had
He was
found the
awake when they
truth,
took him down.
and I told him yes.
She said, barely, but awake enough to ask whether we found the truth. And you
What
answered
she did
him.
not say
I said yes.
was
Annie
that
swallowed.
truth may not be enough.
What I didn't say was that truth may not be enough.
No
Dr.
honest
Parker
doctor
rested both
ever
hands on the
believes
handle of
truth
her cane.
alone is
No
enough.
honest doctor ever believes it is enough by itself. Annie gave a brief, unsteady
When she was
laugh.
young,
When I was young,
she believed
I thought
becoming a doctor would mean
meant
she
I
would never feel helpless beside a hospital door again.
You chose the wrong profession.
You chose the
for
wrong
that.
profession
I
for
told him
that,
I would
Annie.
repay him someday. I said it like
I
a
once
child,
told
as
Thomas
though a
I would
promise
repay
could make
him
the world
someday.
balance itself. Promises do not perform surgery.
I made that promise
Dr.
like a
Parker
child,
said.
as though
They do not
words
replace
alone could make the
antibiotics,
world balance
judgment,
itself.
or skill.
Reveal
Sometimes they
promises do
something
not
smaller
perform
and just as
surgery
necessary.
and do not
They
replace
bring the right person
antibiotics,
back into the room before the door
judgment,
closes.
or skill.
Annie looked toward the double doors at
Promises
the end of the
sometimes do
corridor.
something smaller, yet just
I
as
hope I was the
necessary.
right person.
They bring
Dr.
the right
Parker reached
person
over
back
and
into the
covered
room
Annie's
before the
hand.
door closes.
He had been prepared
was
to
given
leave
back
this
his
hospital
right to
without knowing
choose.
what was killing him. Whatever happens tonight,
That's
he gave
all
him
we
back
can
his
do.
right to choose. Before Annie could answer, the waiting room phone rang
The male
at the desk.
surgeon is asking for you
The
in the surgical
receptionist looked toward
consultation
her.
room.
Dr. Brooks? Dr. Reed is asking for you
The
in
damage
surgical
was more
consultation
extensive
room.
than we thought.
Annie was on her feet before
He
the
suffered a
woman finished
massive
speaking.
coronary event
Dr.
during the
Reed met her
procedure.
outside the operating
The elderly
suite.
patient is alive.
His surgical
But the
cap
damage
was
is more
pulled low over
extensive
his
than
gray
expected.
hair, and the mask
How
hanging
bad is
loose
it?
beneath his chin made his face
The
appear
infection
more
tracked
drawn.
farther
He
around
is
the valve
alive,
ring.
he said
We've removed the
immediately,
infected
but the damage is more
prosthesis, but
extensive
the
than
nearby
images
tissue is
showed.
severely
Annie let
damaged.
herself breathe once.
The operating team needs to know whether
How
the
extensive?
damaged extension
The
matches the
abscess
area the
has tracked
cardiologist
farther
questioned
around the
earlier.
valve
It
ring.
matches.
Dr.
We need to
Chen
prepare
has
for a
removed
bypass
the infected
immediately.
prosthesis,
We're losing pressure,
but there is
doctor. The
destruction in
bypass
the
isn't
adjacent
holding. What do you
tissue.
see?
They need to know
The
whether
CT shows a
extension
distal
corresponds
occlusion.
to the
We need
area
to
you
stent
questioned on the
immediately.
imaging.
Was the
Annie
secondary
followed him
extension
into a
mapped
small
before
room lined
surgery?
with monitors.
Yes, but we need to
The
verify
scan she
the
had studied
aortic
hours
arch
earlier
involvement.
filled one screen.
Confirmed.
The
Operative
CT
imaging
overlay
and
showed
notes
an
appeared on
irregular
another.
tract behind the main abscess
Doctor.
pocket,
Chen's
not
voice
fully
came through a
defined but
speaker from
concerning
inside
enough
the
to change the
operating room.
surgery.
Controlled
There.
but urgent.
That density
Dr.
correlates
Brooks,
precisely with the
Reed
symptoms.
says you mapped
We
the
need to
secondary
intervene
extension
immediately.
Before we brought him down.
Understood.
Annie
Book the
stepped
OR.
closer to the image.
If the surgeons are seeing
Her
damage
exhaustion
there,
disappeared
the
beneath
infection
training.
may continue
Yes.
toward a second
On
hidden
the CT
pocket.
overlay, there was an irregular tract
Replacing the valve
posterior to
without clearing the
primary
second
abscess
pocket could leave the source behind.
It wasn't fully
The
defined.
field matches.
But I was concerned the infection had extended beyond
The debridement
visible
must be
leak.
extended.
Dr. Reed brought up
We're
the
looking
marked
at deeper
image Annie had
involvement than
annotated
anticipated.
earlier. There, Annie said, pointing. If what you are seeing is along the posterior annulus, the tissue damage may continue toward that second pocket. If it is not cleared, you could replace the valve.
Requesting
and
immediate
leave the
blood
source
products
behind.
and pressure
There was
support.
a pause
Vitals
over the
are
speaker.
crashing.
Dr. Chen said, that matches the surgical field. I'm extending the debridement. Annie pressed her lips together. This was not relief.
Do not
It
let the
meant
truth
Thomas was
be
sicker than
wasted.
any of them had wanted to believe.
Look, this
Dr.
is
Reed
non-negotiable.
remained beside her while
I
the
understand the
team continued.
situation, but the trust
Neither spoke
reorganization
until the
has to
speaker
happen
crackled
today,
again with
regardless of his
requests for
condition.
blood products and
If
pressure
the elderly
support.
patient survives
On the
lucid enough
monitor,
to sign new orders,
numbers
the medical
shifted
pavilion
quickly.
conversion will be finished,
Annie knew
and the
enough
board
not
will
to
freeze
ask questions
everything.
no one had time to answer.
Yes, I know he was supposed to go
She stood
home,
motionless,
but the new
eyes
results
fixed
change
on the data.
everything.
hearing
We need to
Thomas's
contain
voice
this
from
now.
the corridor.
There was
Then don't
supposed
let
to be
them
no
waste it.
specialists,
Outside
no
the
surgery,
consultation
and no
room,
last-minute
a raised
change
voice broke
because a
through the
charity
quiet.
case decided
Preston
to play
stood near
savior.
the surgical waiting desk, speaking into his phone with his back partly turned. I don't care what
You
the
should be with
hospital
patients.
says. If he survives lucid enough to sign new orders,
I usually
the
am with
pavilion conversion is
patients,
finished.
especially when they need someone to
The
remember
board
what
will
was
freeze
said around
everything.
them.
Maya, coming from the ICU corridor, slowed before he noticed her.
I need to
Preston
formally
continued,
report what I
his
just
voice
overheard
lowered,
down the
but not
corridor.
enough.
It
He
has
was
to be
supposed to be
documented
going home.
immediately.
No specialists,
Doctor?
no surgery, no last-minute change of heart because
Over here,
some
look at
charity
this scan
case
immediately.
decided to play savior. Maya stopped completely. Preston
The
turned and
damaged
saw her.
area has been
For 1
repaired,
second,
and a new valve
neither
has been
moved.
placed.
You should be with patients, he said. Maya's face remained calm.
The patient's
I usually
pressure
am,
dropped twice, but
especially
is
when they
holding
need
at the
someone to
moment,
remember what was
and
said
they are
around
not
them.
out of danger.
He ended the call and
Is his
walked
heart
away
functioning?
without another word. Maya went
The heart is
directly to
functioning
charge
enough
nurse
for
and
intensive
requested
care
that
if
what
the
she had
patient
overheard
remains
be
stable
formally
through closure,
reported and
and time
documented.
seems to stretch inside
Annie
the
saw her
waiting.
through the glass. But before she could ask what had happened, Dr. Reed called her name. The operating room speaker carried Dr. Chen's voice again. We have repaired the damaged
bypass
area
was
and placed the
successful.
new valve.
We managed to
His
stabilize
pressure
him,
dropped twice,
but the next
he is
24
holding at
hours
the
are
moment.
critical.
We're
The
not out of
operation was
danger.
successful.
Annie gripped the edge of the
He
table.
survived the procedure and
his
is
heart
stable for
functioning?
now.
Enough to move him to intensive care if he remains stable through
They
closure.
removed the infected
Hours
valve,
seemed to pass inside
cleared the
next
abscess
40
as
minutes.
thoroughly as
When
possible,
Dr. Chen
and
finally
replaced the
emerged,
valve.
Her shoulders sagged beneath her surgical
The
gown.
patient's body
Dr.
took a
Reed and
beating, happening.
Annie were waiting near the doors.
The next
survived
24 to
operation,
48 hours
Dr.
are
Chen
critical.
said. We removed the infected valve,
You did well, my dear.
cleared the abscess as
It's
thoroughly as
finally
possible,
over.
and replaced the valve. His body took a
I
beating.
was so scared.
The next 24 to 48 hours, are critical. Annie nodded because speaking would have broken her apart. Dr. Parker reached her from behind just as
He
her
made it
knees
through.
weakened.
He made it through this
Annie
part.
turned into the older woman's arms, covering her face with one hand. "He made it through," she whispered. "Yes," Dr. Parker said, holding her tightly. "He made it through this part." Annie drew back, wiped her face, and looked toward the ICU doors where Thomas would soon be taken. 22 years earlier, his signature had carried Grace into an operating room. Tonight, the life Grace had been given had helped guide him out of one. Thomas did not wake that night. Annie knew this was expected. She had explained the same thing to families after major heart surgery. The machines, the sedation, the tubes, the swollen hands. The hours when survival looked nothing like recovery. Still, when she first saw him in intensive care, every professional explanation she had ever given felt thin. He lay beneath a warming blanket with a breathing tube in his mouth, several lines running from his body to pumps beside the bed. His face had lost the feverish
His
color
blood
that
pressure is
troubled her
still
before
requiring
surgery,
significant
but
support.
now it was
We're
pale
seeing
and
some kidney
still.
involvement,
The
so I've
black
adjusted the
fountain pen was
antibiotics
nowhere near
accordingly.
him.
We'll
Maya
monitor
had locked
closely.
it with his wallet
The next
and
12
glasses
hours
in
are
the unit
critical.
safe until he could
We've
ask
done
for them
everything we
again.
can, Doctor.
Annie
I
stood
know.
outside the glass
Thank
until
you.
Dr. Reed joined her. His blood pressure is holding with medication.
You know, they do actually
he
let us
said.
go home
His
sometimes.
kidney function is
Even
still
you.
concerning.
Oh, really?
Infectious disease
I'd
has
forgotten
adjusted
what
the
that looks like.
antibiotics based on the operative findings. The next day will tell us more. Annie nodded.
My mother would have
Malfunction?
liked you.
Acceptable on the first post-operative study. That was good news.
The numbers are steady for now.
Necessary news. It did not stop her from looking through the glass and remembering Thomas upright in bed.
The patient's
telling
younger
Preston
relative in
that
the
he was
waiting
ill,
area is demanding to see
not
the
absent.
attending.
Dr. Reed
He's
followed
becoming
her
quite
gaze.
insistent.
You do not have to stay here all night.
He said the
I know.
expansion plans
You have been
hinge on the
awake for
patient's
almost 2
passing.
days.
He
So have you.
explicitly stated that
I am
her
old enough
survival
to
would
know that is
complicate his
foolish.
ambitions.
A tired smile crossed
Nurse,
Annie's
confirm that
face.
you documented
My mother
everything
would have
through the
liked
proper
you.
channels.
Your
Yes,
mother would
doctor.
probably tell
All
both of us
protocols
to
were
go
followed
home.
and logged in the
She would
system
tell me
immediately.
First, then sit here herself. Maya came out of Thomas's room after checking the pumps. His numbers are steady for now. That is all I'm willing to
I said,
promise.
eat it. You need your
It's
strength.
enough, Annie said. Maya looked toward
We
the
still
waiting
have rounds.
area.
Yes, doctor.
Mr. Preston Whitmore has been asking when he can speak to the attending physician. He does not know what I reported yet. Dr. Reed's expression changed. Reported?
Rise
Maya
and shine.
told them
We got
what she
another
had
one waiting
overheard
for you.
outside the surgical area.
Just give me the
Preston
coffee.
speaking about the pavilion conversion, his concern that Thomas might survive able to
How is
sign
he?
new orders, and his
Is he
remark
stable?
about Annie being a charity
Still
case
critical.
playing savior.
Still here.
Annie felt heat rise into her face, but anger arrived behind fatigue.
The new valve is holding
slower
steady,
and heavier.
her fever finally
Dr.
broke
Reed
overnight.
said, you documented
excellent
it
news.
through the charge
What about the
nurse
renal
and
function?
hospital compliance.
Mr. Harrison has the
I
durable
included
power of
the staff
attorney.
member who
We
was
demand
within
access
hearing
to the medical
distance.
records
Good.
immediately.
He glanced toward Thomas.
We are the legal next of kin here,
wait
doctor.
until the patient is stable enough to be protected from another fight. Annie understood. Thomas had survived an operation. He should not wake to betrayal before he had enough strength
You must be
to
pleased
absorb
with
it.
the outcome, doctor.
Shortly before dawn,
My
Dr.
priority
Parker went
is the
home
patient's
after
care,
forcing
Mr.
Annie to
Harrison.
eat half of the sandwich
Not my
she had brought.
emotions.
You
Annie
manipulated
remained
her
in a
into this
recliner
surgery
outside
because
the
you knew
ICU
she felt
bay.
obligated to you.
Her coat rolled beneath her head.
It's disgusting.
She did not remember falling asleep. When she woke,
He
weak
speaks of
winter sunlight
gratitude
lay
like a
across the floor,
disease,
and
because
Maya
he
was
has
standing
never
over her with a
inspired
paper
it in
cup.
anyone.
Coffee, Maya said.
You will always
The
be an
kind people
outsider who
drink
entered his
when
life
they
through a
have made
hospital
poor
bill.
life choices.
My mother lived
Annie sat up
17
quickly.
extra years
Thomas,
because of this kind of
still
care.
critical.
Is
Still
everything
here.
all right here?
Those two words carried her through
Yes,
the morning.
perfectly fine
the
now,
first
thank
day
you.
passed through cautious updates. Thomas's heart continued supporting
You're
the
doing
new
great.
valve. His fever
Just
began
breathe
to ease.
slowly with the machine.
His kidneys did not
We are
improve,
taking good care of you.
but they did not collapse further. The intensive care physician said they might reduce sedation the following day if his breathing remained stable. Preston appeared twice. The first
He's
time,
off the vent.
he stood outside the
He's
unit with a
exhausted,
lawyer and
but awake,
requested access to
and
Thomas's
already
medical
complaining about the
decision
taste in his
documents.
mouth.
The second time, he asked to see his uncle and was
Is he
allowed
all right?
only
Can
a
I see him
brief,
5 minutes,
monitored
doctor?
visit. Annie watched
And
him
please,
through the
don't let him
glass
start
as
a
he stood
speech.
beside the bed. He did not take Thomas's hand. He looked at the machines, at the chart screen, at the tube keeping him alive, as though measuring what the night had cost him.
Doctor.
When he stepped out,
I'm right
he found
here.
Annie near the nurse's station. You must be pleased.
We're very pleased
he
with your
said.
progress.
Annie set down the chart she had been reading.
Well, Doctor, this afterlife
uncle
looks
survived.
surprisingly like
For
St.
now.
Jude's.
He
You
chose
made it through,
surgery.
Mr. Jones.
He was
The
persuaded
surgery
into
was
it
a
by someone
success.
whose entire identity
The infected
seems
valve
built
was
around
removed
owing
and
him.
the area
Annie
cleaned.
held his gaze.
We replaced the valve,
You keep
but you are
speaking
still
about
very sick,
gratitude as though
and the
it is a
recovery will be
disease.
long.
Perhaps because you have never
Doctors
inspired it in
always
anyone.
ruin good news
His
with
expression
details.
hardened. You do not know this family. No. I know your uncle asked for a chance to live, and you tried to answer for him. Preston lowered his voice. When this ends, you will still be an outsider who entered
Your
his
mother
life
used to
through a
straighten
hospital
blankets
bill.
the same
Annie
way.
glanced through the glass at Thomas.
She did.
That bill gave my mother 17 years, she said. You may not
Did she
understand
live
what
the
that
17
means because
years?
nothing in your
Yes,
life
your
has ever
mother lived
depended on
17
someone
more
choosing
years.
mercy
I'm
before
glad.
profit. Preston took one step closer, then stopped
I
when
wanted
Maya
you to see
emerged
this.
from
This is
Thomas's
my
room.
mother.
Everything
At
all
her
right
graduation.
here? She asked. Perfectly.
She
Preston
made it
said and
because of
walked
you.
away. On the second morning, Thomas's breathing improved enough for the team to begin waking him. Annie stayed outside while respiratory therapy worked with him. She
I
knew the
only paid a
process could be
bill.
rough. Confusion, discomfort,
That's not
panic at the
entirely
tube,
true, sir.
weakness too deep
This was
for
charity.
speech. When Maya finally came to
The
the
money
door,
paid the
her
bill.
expression carried the first
But what you
softness
gave
Annie
her
had
was
seen
time
since
with her
surgery.
mother.
He is off the ventilator, she said. He is exhausted, but he opened his eyes and asked why his mouth tasted like a toolbox. Annie laughed, one hand covering her lips. May I see him? 5 minutes. Do not make him give a speech. Thomas looked smaller without the breathing tube, but more like himself. Oxygen
You
still
kept your
rested
promise,
beneath his
then.
nose, and his eyes were heavy.
We did our best, sir.
The blue blanket had
You did
returned
the
over
rest.
his legs, folded unevenly at the
We
edge.
helped find the
Annie
road,
stepped to the
but the
bedside.
surgical
His
team
eyes found her
really
with effort.
carried you through.
Dr. Brooks,
They did incredible work.
he whispered. Mr. Whitmore.
Your
His voice
answer sounds
scraped when
like
he
yes.
spoke. Did I survive? Or is this a very professional afterlife? You survived the surgery. He blinked slowly. The infection? They removed the infected valve, cleaned out the damaged area, and replaced it. You are still very sick. You have a long recovery ahead of you. Thomas gave the smallest nod. You doctors always ruin good news with details. Annie smiled, then reached down and straightened the blanket over his knees. His gaze followed her hand. Grace did that, he said. She did. 17 years? Annie felt her throat tighten. 17 years. He closed his eyes for a moment. I am glad. Annie took a framed photograph from her bag. Grace stood beside her at medical school graduation, wearing the blue dress she had saved for months to buy, smiling as if the whole city should have stopped to admire her daughter. Annie placed it on the table where Thomas could see it. She wanted you to know what your help became. Thomas looked at the photograph for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was weaker. I paid a bill. No, sir. Annie sat beside him. Money paid the bill. What you gave me was time with my mother. His eyes filled, and he turned his face slightly toward the window. Annie did not ask him to look back. She stayed beside him in silence until his breathing eased, and sleep began to pull him away. Just before his eyes closed, he said, "Did you keep your promise?" Annie rested her hand beside his on the blanket. "I helped find the road," she said. "The surgical team carried you through."
The
His
pressures
tired
are holding
mouth
steady
formed a
here.
faint smile.
Good.
That sounds like yes.
Let's keep the
When he
dopamine
slept,
stable and recheck
Annie
in the
remained
hour.
seated a moment longer. Thomas was alive, but she knew the next truth waiting for him would hurt in a way no incision could explain. His heart had been repaired. Soon, he would learn who had been willing to let it fail.
Welcome
Thomas
to the
remained in
recovery floor.
intensive care
You're
for
doing
3
very
more
well.
days before the
We'll keep
doctors
a close
agreed he
eye
could
on
be
you.
moved to the cardiac recovery floor. He marked the change by complaining
Well, the good
about
news
room.
is I
The view
survived.
was worse.
The bad
He
news
said as
is they
Maya
gave me
checked his
this
blood
room.
pressure.
The
"I
view
survived
is
surgery and lost
absolutely
2 floors of
dreadful.
skyline.
You gained a bathroom door you can close by yourself once physical therapy approves it.
All
Maya
right,
replied.
fine, thank
Try
you.
gratitude. Annie stood near the window holding his updated lab results. His infection markers were falling. His kidneys were recovering slowly. He's still tired after a few sentences, and walking 10 steps with a therapist left him breathing as though he had climbed a hill, but each day returned a little more of him. Thomas
You look like
nodded
you
toward
just
the
saw my
papers in
credit
Annie's
score,
hand.
Doc. Is it that
You
bad?
have the face again.
It's not your
What
credit
face?
score, Mr.
The one that
Jones.
says there
We
is
need to
something you do
discuss
not
these
want to tell me.
results.
Maya
The
glanced
results
at
from the
Annie,
cath lab
then
show
quietly
significant
gathered her
blockage.
equipment.
We need to consider
I'll
surgery
let you
very
two
soon.
talk. Mr. Whitmore,
How long do I have if
do
we
not
wait?
try to escape before lunch.
Your recent
I
tests
make no
show that the
promises.
damage to your
When
heart
the
is
door
more
closed,
significant than we
Annie placed
initially
the lab
thought.
results on his
We
tray
need to
table and
discuss
sat
the next
beside the bed.
steps.
There are matters concerning Preston.
There
that
are
we need
matters
to know, she
concerning your
said.
nephew that
Thomas
you need
did
to
not
know.
react at once. He adjusted the blue blanket over his lap with one thin hand, as if preparing himself to receive a cold draft. He opposed the surgery, he said. Yes, I knew that much.
I know he
did more
opposed
than
the
worry about
surgery.
the risk.
He didn't want me
Maya
to go
overheard
through
him
with it.
speaking on
That
the
is
phone
correct.
during your operation.
He voiced
said
his
that if you
concerns to
survived
the
lucid
team.
enough to sign new orders,
Your
the
nephew did
conversion of
more
the
than just
Whitmore
oppose the
Medical Pavilion
surgery,
would be
Mr.
stopped.
Jones.
Thomas stared at her.
A nurse
What
overheard him on
conversion?
the phone during the
Preliminary
operation.
plans to reduce the
The
charitable
nephew stated that if
services
the
and
patient
repurpose
survived
parts of the
lucid enough to
pavilion
sign
for
new
private
orders, a
specialty
major
treatment.
institutional plan would be
Your
stopped,
attorneys and
making the threat
foundation board have
disturbingly
begun
practical.
reviewing
What
documents.
conversion?
There are also questions about why outside consultation was
We
delayed
need to discuss
before I
the
arrived.
next steps for
the
your
room
treatment
became
plan.
quiet except for the faint clicking of an
The
infusion
preliminary
pump.
plans
Thomas
involve
looked toward the
reducing
photograph
charitable
of Grace on his
services
bedside
and
table.
repurposing the
Annie
medical
watched
pavilion for
disbelief give way
private
to something
specialty
quieter
treatment.
and worse.
Attorneys
waiting
and the
for me to
foundation
die.
board are reviewing
Annie chose her
documents.
words carefully.
Questions
He
exist
was
about
making
why
plans that
outside
depended on you
consultation was
not
delayed,
recovering.
widening
Thomas
the
gave
betrayal.
a dry, broken laugh. A charitable distinction. I'm sorry. For what? You did not raise him. He closed his eyes.
He was just
His
waiting
father
for me to
died when
die,
Preston
wasn't
was
he?
16. I paid
I
for
understand
his
this is
school,
difficult,
gave him
but
his
you
first
are
position.
recovering well.
When he made mistakes,
His nephew was
I told
making
myself he
plans that
needed
depended on
responsibility,
him not
judgment.
recovering.
You gave him trust. What he did with it belongs to him. Thomas opened
She
his
didn't
eyes
raise
again.
my
I
nephew.
have spent years telling rooms full of donors
All
that
those
illness
years,
makes people
I put my
vulnerable.
trust in the wrong place.
I meant patients who could not afford
Vulnerability.
treatment. I never considered
All
that
my wealth
vulnerability
means
could look
nothing
like a
here.
nephew standing beside my bed
And he's just
deciding
waiting
my
for the
death was
efficient
efficient.
conclusion.
Annie reached toward his hand, then waited until he turned his palm upward. His
Justice
fingers
can
closed
mean
weakly around
giving
hers.
someone his voice
Justice
back.
is not always loud, she said.
You know, the way you
Sometimes
speak,
it is making
it
sure
reminds
someone
me
who
of
has
my
been
mother.
spoken over gets his own voice back.
Her kindness,
Thomas looked at her.
her wisdom.
That sounds like
I
your mother.
require an
It
immediate
sounds like
meeting with
something
my
she would have
attorney
approved
and the
of.
foundation board
Later
chair.
that afternoon,
I am fully
Thomas asked
aware
for his
and
attorney,
intend to respond
Margaret Doyle,
formally.
and the chair
Very
of his
well.
foundation board.
I'm ready to
Dr.
sign the
Reed
documents
confirmed that
now.
Thomas was alert, understood the purpose of the meeting, and could make decisions for himself.
Now that
Maya
we are
brought
all
his glasses
present,
and the
let
black
us discuss
fountain
the
pen for
terms of my
safekeeping.
autonomy.
When
Of
the
course,
visitors
sir.
arrived, Thomas
We have
was
the
sitting in a
papers
chair
ready for
beside the
review.
bed, wearing a gray cardigan Annie had brought from his house at his request. He looked frail, but not absent. Preston arrived last.
Uncle,
His
you really
steps
should be
slowed when
resting.
he saw the attorney and the folder on Thomas's
Sit down
lap.
immediately.
Uncle Thomas, he said, you should be resting.
I
Thomas
assure you,
removed
Uncle,
his
this is all
glasses.
just a terrible
Sit down,
misunderstanding.
Preston.
Misunderstanding.
Preston remained standing.
You call diverting the
I
endowment
assume
a
this is about the
misunderstanding.
misunderstanding in
I
the
assure
surgical
you, the
waiting area.
restructuring models
There
were
is no
purely
misunderstanding
preliminary.
about a
My
plan
sole
to alter
focus
my
was
pavilion
protecting the
without my
foundation's
approval.
assets and
Preston
ensuring
glanced
long-term
at Margaret
viability.
Doyle.
You were
Those were
protecting the
preliminary
institution by
discussions.
dismantling the very
The
reason
foundation
it
has been losing
existed,
money. I
exposing
was
the
trying to
moral
protect what
emptiness
you
of the
built.
plan.
By preparing to
The world has
dismantle the reason I
changed, and
built it,
funds
the
cannot
world
keep
has
going to
changed.
patients who will
We
never
cannot
pay
keep
them
pouring
back.
funds into patients who will never be able to pay them back. Thomas went still.
I once
Annie
paid
saw
for
his
your
eyes flick
tuition,
briefly
your
toward
apartment,
Grace's
and your
photograph.
first position
When your father died,
without asking for
Thomas said,
repayment.
I never asked how
Family
you would
is
repay
different.
the tuition I provided, or
That
the
makes the
apartment,
betrayal
or the
worse.
position in my company. I thought helping a young man who had lost his family was its own reason.
You show up after
Preston's
22
face
years
hardened.
with some
That is
touching
different.
story and think you
Why?
can influence his
Because
judgment.
I am family.
That is
Thomas's
not what
voice
happened.
dropped. That is why it is worse.
She came because
No
I
one
was
moved.
dying.
Preston looked
She
toward
found
Annie.
what others had missed,
This is her
and she
doing.
protected the choice you
She
tried to
appears after
silence.
22 years with a
I
touching
was trying to
story.
spare suffering.
And suddenly you think
You were
she
trying to
represents
inherit
every
a
good
quieter
thing you ever
problem.
accomplished. Thomas followed his gaze to Annie, then turned back
The
to his
nephew's
nephew.
healthcare
She
proxy
came because I
designation
was
is
dying.
revoked immediately,
She found what others
reclaiming
had not
legal
found in
control
time.
over his own body and
And when I
care.
was too weak to
The
speak,
patient suspends the nephew from
you
all
tried to
foundation
silence the
authority
choice
pending
I had
independent
already made.
investigation,
I was
blocking
trying
every
to spare
sale,
you
transfer,
suffering.
conversion, or
You were trying
restructuring
to
under his
inherit
signature.
a quieter problem. Preston opened his mouth, but Thomas raised one hand. I am revoking your healthcare proxy designation, effective immediately. You are suspended from all foundation authority pending an independent investigation. No sale, transfer, conversion, or
You're making a
restructuring
mistake.
involving the Whitmore Medical Pavilion.
The real
will proceed
mistake
under
was
your
made
signature.
years ago,
Margaret
and
Doyle
today
placed
I am
documents on the
naming
table.
it.
Thomas uncapped the fountain pen. His hand trembled more than it had in Annie's memory, but he signed each page deliberately. Preston watched the final signature dry. You are making a mistake, he said. Thomas replaced the cap on the pen. No, I made the mistake years
Please,
ago.
don't
Today
misunderstand.
I am naming it. Preston
This
left
isn't a
without saying
triumph.
goodbye. After the
It feels
door
only
closed,
like a loss.
Thomas leaned back, drained.
Do not
Annie
mistake
moved to
this
adjust
for
his
victory,
blanket, but he caught
because
her wrist
losing
gently.
faith in
Do not
family
mistake
can
this
never
for
feel
victory,
like winning.
he said. Losing faith in family is not victory.
It is not victory.
victory.
Annie answered.
But keeping you
keeping
from
him
hurting more people
is
still justice.
Thomas let go of her wrist and looked again at Grace's
They must
photograph.
decide what
Then we
becomes
should
of the
decide what
pavilion
becomes of
before
that
anyone
pavilion
else
before anyone
mistakes
else
kindness for weakness.
By the time Thomas left Street Catherine, winter had begun loosening its grip on Chicago. The snowbanks along the hospital driveway had collapsed into gray ridges.
Just
and the
watch your
wind
step
no
on the
longer cut
slush
through
here,
coats
Mr.
with the
Whitmore.
same
I
anger.
know how to
He
walk.
walked
Thank
out
you very
with a cane
much.
in one hand and Annie beside him, moving carefully. Annoyed by every
Did you
nurse who
assume I'd
reminded him
forgotten the
not to
mechanics
overdo
of
it.
walking?
I built equipment used
Or
in
perhaps
operating
you
rooms,
doubt my
he said as a
understanding of
transport aide
gravity.
approached with a wheelchair.
Mr. Whitmore, you must take the
I am
antibiotics
familiar with the
exactly
idea
as
of
prescribed,
movement.
regardless of how
Maya
you
folded
feel.
her arms.
I told you, I feel fine.
Then you should be
Do I really
familiar
need
with
all of
following
them?
medical
Tell me,
instructions.
Annie, is the nurse
Thomas
always
looked at
this
Annie.
commanding?
Is she
Only when
always this
necessary,
commanding?
Thomas.
Only with patients
But
she
she
wants
is
to keep
very
alive.
good.
He gave in and sat for the ride
The
to
nurse is only
curb.
commanding with
His
the
home in
patients
Lake
she wants to
Forest
keep
was larger
alive,
than
you know?
Annie expected. A stone house set back from the road behind bare trees and a circular drive. Inside, everything was orderly without feeling lived in. Framed photographs of Thomas receiving awards, a single portrait of Eleanor near the fireplace, shelves of books, and a dining room table made for gatherings that had not occurred in years. Annie visited twice during his first month home, officially to review his follow-up plan and unofficially because she knew recovery could feel lonelier after the
The
hospital
new
stopped
medication
making
seems
noise
to be
around
helping
you.
with the
On her
pain,
third visit,
based on your log
Dr.
here.
Parker
Yes,
arrived
quite a bit,
carrying
thank
a covered
you.
casserole dish. Thomas looked at it suspiciously. I have a cook. Dr. Parker removed her gloves. Then your cook can have the night off and learn some humility.
I brought my
This is
famous
macaroni and
lasagna.
cheese,
Thought you could use a break from
made
the
by
hospital
somebody who
food.
understands
Dr.
seasoning.
Parker, you shouldn't
They
have.
ate
This
in the
is
breakfast room
wonderful.
overlooking a lawn still brown from winter.
The cook can have the
Thomas
night
took
off
smaller
and learn
portions than he once
humility.
might have. But Annie noticed he finished everything on his plate.
Gentlemen,
After dinner,
behold,
he set his napkin aside
macaroni
and,
and
placed a yellow
cheese
legal
made
pad
by
on the
someone who
table.
truly
I have been reading
understands
the foundation
seasoning.
audit, he said. Annie rested her coffee cup in both hands. Are you sure that is part of your rehabilitation plan? No. Which is why I did it without asking permission.
I've gone
Dr.
over the
Parker
foundation
sighed.
audit, line by
There was the
line.
patient I remember
There are
hearing
some
about.
significant
Thomas turned
discrepancies
the
we
pad
need to
toward
address
Annie.
immediately.
His handwriting
Does
had grown
reading
less
audit
steady,
papers count
but
as
the notes were
rehabilitation?
organized in
It does
columns.
not,
She
which
saw
is
headings,
exactly why I did
treatment
it without
deposits,
permission.
Cancer navigation, transportation.
We've mapped out the
child
support
care,
infrastructure,
patient
navigation,
advocates. Preston did more
transportation,
than
and
attempt to
advocates.
convert the pavilion.
This is truly
He
systemic
said. He
compassion.
narrowed
Preston did
assistance
more than try to
requirements over
convert the
last year.
pavilion. He
Families
narrowed
were being
assistance
redirected,
requirements so families were
delayed,
redirected,
told funds were
delayed,
unavailable,
or denied
he
help.
prepared to argue that the programs
How many
were no longer
families were
effective.
turned away?
Annie's stomach tightened. How many people were turned away? We are still determining that. He looked toward the
I
portrait
should
of
have
Eleanor
watched
beyond
who
the
stood
doorway.
behind the
I
open
thought placing
door.
my name on a building meant the door would
My
remain
illness
open.
is no
I
excuse.
should have been watching who was standing behind
Comfort
it.
is not
You
an
were ill.
excuse I should
was
admire
comfortable
in
before I
myself.
was ill.
Stop
His
giving
tone was not
speeches
self-pity.
and state
It
your
was worse.
plan.
Accountable. Comfort
We
is not an
propose
excuse
creating
I
a new
admire in
fund
other
right
people.
here in the
I should
pavilion,
not admire
one
it
that
in
cannot
myself.
be reduced
Dr.
whenever
Parker reached for
administrators
his tea.
prefer paying
Then
patients.
stop giving
We can
speeches
use
over
the
dessert
deposits to
and
fund the
tell us what you
navigation
intend to
team.
do.
And if
A
we
small
handle the
smile
transportation
crossed
and
his face.
childcare, the
I want
advocates
to
can
create a
focus
new fund
entirely on the
inside the
patients.
pavilion.
The goal is to
One that
remove the
cannot be
financial
reduced to a
barriers
line item
entirely.
whenever the next
We provide the
administrator
emergency
prefers
support
paying
up front,
Annie looked
ensuring
again at the
treatment
pad.
starts immediately.
Thomas continued.
We need to list
It
these
should
out
cover
clearly:
urgent surgery
transportation,
after a patient
then the
is
child care
stabilized.
issues, and of course medication
Help families
access.
navigate
It all comes
cancer
back to
treatment.
having proper advocacy.
Provide
This is more than a
transportation,
fund. It is an
temporary
entire
childcare,
patient support
medication
program.
support, and an advocate who sits with them before financial fear
The
drives
program
them
will
away
need
from care.
physicians,
That is more
social
than a fund,
workers,
Annie said.
attorneys, financial
That is an
counselors,
entire patient
and
support
community
program.
partners.
Yes.
No,
It
I
will take
cannot. I'm
physicians,
simply stretched
social
too thin.
workers, attorneys,
We understand that.
financial
We just need
counselors,
you to
and
guide the
community
medical
partners.
mission, nothing more.
Yes. She realized he was watching
He is
her.
not trying to
No,
buy her life,
Annie said,
only
I
asking,
have not asked
because
the
she
question
understands
yet.
both the
You were
payment
going to
counter
ask me to
and
run
what
it.
happens after
Guide its
surgery
medical
when
mission, Thomas
What
corrected.
name will you give the program?
You have a career and patience of your own. I am not trying to buy your life. I know that. Do you? His voice softened. Annie, you understand what it is to sit at that counter. You also understand what happens after the operation.
My mother would never want people
When
making a
family
fuss.
discovers that
She would
survival
object
has
briefly,
appointments,
correct the brochure,
medications,
then invite
bus
everyone
fare,
to church
and
for
unpaid
cake.
hours attached
Her
to it.
mother was not a
Dr.
symbol
Parker
of
said
poverty,
nothing. She
but a
did not
woman
need to.
denied an easy
Annie looked at
road
the
who
legal
still
pad.
raised the
What would you
doctor
call
who
it?
saved his life.
Thomas picked up his fountain pen and wrote one line across the top of the page. Then he turned it toward her. The Grace Brooks Second Chance fund. Annie stared at her
The
mother's
fund
name.
must have navigators
No,
who
she
understand
said again,
shame,
but this
so no
time
one
her
has to
voice had
tell their
weakened.
whole life
My
in a
mother would
lobby
never have
just to
wanted
be
people making
believed.
a fuss over her. Dr.
We must
Parker
partner
leaned
the
back in
fund
her
with
chair.
neighborhood
Your
churches
mother
and
would have
clinics,
objected for 3
reaching
minutes,
people who don't
corrected
already
the
know
spelling
how
on
to
the brochure,
access a large
then
hospital.
invited everyone to
We
church
should
for
offer
cake.
scholarships to
Thomas's
students
smile
from these
faded as he
communities.
looked at Annie.
A
Their
doctor
mother
who
was
knows
not a
the
symbol
cost
of
of a bus
poverty.
transfer will ask
She was a
different
woman who was
questions.
denied an
So we
easy
finally
road
agree.
and still raised the doctor who
Scholarships
saved
for the
my life.
community.
Her name belongs on a door that stays open. Annie covered her mouth.
The
but
chair is
tears
ready if
came
you need it,
anyway.
Mr. Jones.
Thomas
Those steps
gave her
are steep.
time.
I appreciate
He
it,
no longer
Doctor,
seemed
but I'll walk into the
uncomfortable with
Lord's house
tears.
on my own 2 feet.
Illness had taken many things
Take a
from
look
her.
at these. Do you recognize
It had also
anyone?
My
taken the old
word.
habit of pretending
Is that
emotion
Sister
needed to be
Clara?
managed out of sight.
I haven't seen that
When
picture
Annie
in
could speak,
ages.
she said,
That's my
"I want the
mother.
fund to have
She had the
navigators
most
who understand
beautiful
patients
alto
may be ashamed
voice
to
in the
ask.
choir.
Nobody should have to
She
tell their whole
loved
life in a
singing
lobby just to
here.
be believed." Agreed.
The
And
mother
they
knew
partner with
every
neighborhood churches
song
and clinics.
and sang
Not only
louder
people
when
who
she
already
did
know how to
not.
reach a large hospital. Thomas wrote it down.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Dr. Parker added.
We are
For students who
eternally
come from the
grateful
same
for what
places as
you've
the
done.
patients. A doctor who
We
knows what a
finally
bus
meet the
transfer
gentleman who
costs
helped
will
our
ask
beloved
different
Grace.
questions. Thomas looked
The
at
whole
Annie.
community
She nodded.
thanks you.
Yes.
I was fortunate to be in the right place.
Several weeks later,
Being in the
when he
right
was strong
place
enough
is
to walk
easy.
with only his cane,
Stopping
Annie drove
is
Thomas
what
to New
matters.
Hope Missionary Baptist
This
Church.
new community
He
health
wore a
fund
gray
will
suit and
allow us
refused
to
the
offer
wheelchair she had
preventative
placed in the
care
trunk.
and prescription
In case common
assistance
sense
right
arrived
here
late,
in the
The
neighborhood.
church vestibule smelled
Grace
of
would have
furniture,
cried
polish,
over
and
the fund
coffee.
name, then volunteered
Photographs of
every
former
Tuesday
choir
to help
members lined
frighten
one
people
wall.
stay
Annie
until
led Thomas
someone
to a
listened.
framed group picture from years
They will
earlier
need
and pointed to Grace
volunteers
in the
on
back row,
Tuesdays.
smiling beneath a blue hat. She sang alto, Annie said. Loudly when she knew the
The
song,
layout works
quietly
perfectly.
when she didn't. A voice behind them said, "That woman knew
The
every
families are
song
going to
and sang
appreciate the
louder when
space,
she did
Doctor.
not." Mrs. Collins,
Welcome.
now
Please, have
bent
a seat.
slightly with age,
I see you
but
brought the
still wearing
referral
red
forms. We
lipstick
can
to
go over
church,
everything right here.
approached with
Thank
both
you.
hands,
It's been a very
extended
long week
toward
trying to
Annie.
get this appointment.
After a long embrace, she looked at Thomas. Annie said, "Mrs. Collins, this is Thomas Whitmore." Recognition moved over the older woman's face. She took Thomas's hand between hers. "You are the gentleman who helped our Grace." Thomas lowered his head. "I was fortunate to be in the right place." Mrs. Collins gave him a look that allowed no modest escape. Being in the right place is easy. Stopping is what matters.
We're here to help you
Thomas did
navigate
not answer.
everything. Right
He
this
simply
way.
held her hand a little longer.
See,
In the fellowship hall,
I told
over
you it would be
coffee and
easier
lemon
this
pound
time.
cake, Annie
We can help
described
you
the new
apply
fund.
for the financial assistance
Mrs. Collins
program.
listened,
It
then
covers
placed her
most of
napkin
the
beside
treatment
her plate.
costs.
Grace would have cried about having her name on it, she said. Then she would have volunteered every Tuesday and told frightened people not to leave until somebody listened. Thomas looked at Annie. "Then we will need
It's okay.
volunteers on
Take your
Tuesdays."
time.
For the first time, Annie
This
did
room
not
is
argue.
private,
The
and we're
announcement
here to
was
help with the
scheduled for 1
paperwork.
year after Thomas's surgery. At
This
Street
grant is
Catherine Medical
specifically
Center.
designed to
As
support
spring moved
families
toward
like
summer,
yours,
the patient
so you
support
can
office
focus
took shape where
entirely on
families
her
could speak
care.
privately, meet advocates, and apply for assistance without standing exposed in a crowded corridor. On the wall near the entrance, Thomas approved a small plaque.
Right this
no
way.
photograph of himself.
We
no
have a
record of
private room
donations,
ready for you,
only one
and we'll make
sentence.
sure you get
No
all the
patient should stand
assistance you
alone
need.
while time is being measured against money. When
Welcome,
Annie saw it
everyone.
installed,
We're honored to
she
have you
touched
join
old
the St.
receipt
Catherine
inside her
family.
purse.
Please,
The payment
come on
desk had
in.
once been the place where her world nearly closed.
Thank you,
Soon,
Mr. B.
it would
This
become
means
the place
everything
where
to
her
our
mother's
patients.
name helped open
It's
it for
exactly as
someone
I
else.
envisioned.
1 year after Thomas Whitmore's surgery, Street Catherine Medical Center no longer felt to Annie like the hospital that had once made her count crumpled bills beneath fluorescent lights. The same building stood against the Chicago cold, but the corridor near financial services had changed. There were private rooms for families to discuss assistance. A desk staffed by trained patient navigators, and a small brass plaque beside the entrance.
Please don't worry
No
about the
patient should
costs
stand
right
alone
now.
while time is being measured
We have
against
programs
money.
designed to
Annie
help
paused in
families
front of it before
exactly
entering
in
the
your
auditorium.
situation.
In her purse,
This brochure
protected
explains
inside
the
a clear
process
sleeve,
entirely.
were Thomas's
Just
old
hand us the
payment
forms
receipt
and
a
we'll
note
start the
Grace had
application
left in her
now.
Bible. She had planned to keep both with her during the ceremony, then changed her mind. Some things were meant to be carried, others were meant to be shown so people understood why a door existed. The auditorium filled steadily. Former patients from the Whitmore Care Fund sat beside children who were now adults. Nurses from the cardiac floor occupied 2 rows together, Maya among them in a dark blue dress instead of scrubs. Dr. Parker sat near
Some
the front
things
wearing
are meant to
pearl
be
earrings and
shown,
a hat Grace would
not
have
hidden.
admired. Mrs. Collins had arrived with 4 women from New Hope Missionary Baptist and a lemon pound cake she insisted belonged at any important gathering. Near the stage stood a framed photograph of Grace in her blue dress on the day
It's incredible to see how much
graduating from
everyone
medical
has
school.
grown. We wouldn't be
One
here
hand
without the
rested
fund.
against Annie's white coat.
The
Her
ceremony
smile was
is about to
broad
begin.
and unashamed. When Thomas entered, the room rose without being asked. He walked with a wooden cane, slower than before his illness, but without assistance.
The impact she has had on this
His silver hair
institution
was neatly
and the
combed,
countless
and
lives
his
she
gray
has
suit
touched
hung a
cannot
little
be
looser on him
overstated.
than it had in
We thank you,
photographs from
Dr.
his
Parker.
business years.
Make
Annie
way,
watched
everyone.
him
The
stop
pound
beside
cake is
Grace's
here.
picture. He
Oh,
did not
Mrs.
touch the
Collins,
frame
it
at
looks
first.
absolutely
He only looked,
divine. We were
and he
just
lowered his
talking
head and
about
said
it.
quietly, "Thank you for raising her." Annie turned away long enough to regain herself. Dr. Samuel Reed opened the program. He spoke without unnecessary
And to the families,
ceremony,
especially the
explaining that
mothers
the
who
new fund
inspired
would
them,
support uninsured
we
and
recognize your
underinsured patients
sacrifice,
facing
which
urgent
made this
treatment,
legacy
transportation
possible.
barriers, childcare needs, medication costs, and the confusion that often arrived with serious illness. Then his voice changed. "A year ago," he said, "Thomas Whitmore was a patient in this hospital. His case reminded many of us that medical skill is not only the ability to treat what is obvious, it is the discipline to question an ending that has become too convenient. He survived because Dr. Annie Brooks saw a pattern. Nurses protected his expressed
Thank you,
wishes.
Grace, for raising
The
our
surgical
Annie.
team acted under extraordinary pressure.
Welcome. It is my
And Mr.
distinct honor to
Whitmore was
open this
allowed to
ceremony
make his own
dedicated
decision
to the
about his
enduring
life.
memory of Grace.
Thomas,
Her
seated
vision
beside
continues
Annie,
to inspire
rested
us
both
all.
hands on his cane.
The fund's purpose
Dr.
is to
Reed
cover
continued,
urgent treatment,
"People should not be
transportation,
overlooked
child care,
because they are
medication,
poor,
and the
old,
confusion
frightened,
families face
difficult
during
to
illness."
diagnose, or unable
Exactly
to speak
1
as
year
loudly
ago,
as the people
Thomas's
around them.
condition was
The
critical.
applause was not loud at first.
We weren't sure
It
he
rose
would make it
slowly
through the night.
from people who understood
But he
what
fought.
those words
We
meant.
must have the
Thomas
discipline
took
to
the podium
question an
next.
ending
He
that has
adjusted the
become too
microphone
convenient.
himself, ignoring
The
Annie's
lives of our
instinctive movement
patients
to help
depend
him.
on it.
I have been
The
introduced
speech
many
honors the
times in my
doctor who
life,
saw the
he
pattern,
began,
the nurses
usually
who
with
protected
words
the
such as
patient's
founder,
wishes,
chairman,
and the
or
surgical
donor.
team who acted under
Those
pressure.
words are accurate. They
He
are
was
not the
allowed
words that
to
matter most to me
decide
anymore. He
about
looked
his
toward
own
Annie.
life.
22 years ago, a young woman approached me
People
in
must
this
not be
hospital.
overlooked
She
because
carried
they
her
are
money in a
poor,
grocery bag.
old, frightened,
Her
hard
mother
to
needed
diagnose,
surgery.
or
She had
unable to
sold what
speak
she could
loudly.
sell, borrowed what she could borrow,
Thank
and
you
reached
all
the end
very
of every
much.
path she knew.
It is an honor
Annie
to
felt
be
Mrs.
here
Collins's
today and
hand
share
close
my
around her
story.
shoulder from the row behind. I doubted her before I believed
Thank
her,
you all for
Thomas
coming
said.
tonight.
That
It
is
means a
also
great
true,
deal to
and she
me,
deserves the
and I know
honesty
it
of
would have meant the
She should
world
not
to
have
Grace.
needed to prove that her mother's life
I have been
mattered.
introduced
When I
many
finally
times as
understood,
founder,
I paid
chairman,
what
or
remained
donor.
of the deposit.
But
I
those
thought I had
words
helped
no
one
longer
family
matter
through
most
one
to me.
terrible night.
22
He
years
turned
ago,
slightly
right
toward
here in
Grace's
this
photograph.
hospital, I met a
Grace
young
Brooks
woman.
lived 17 more years.
I wish I had known then
She
what
raised
I
a
know
physician,
now, Annie.
and when my
A
own
young
life was
woman
being
carrying
brought
money in a
quietly toward
grocery
its end,
bag. Her
that
mother
physician
needing
came
surgery
back,
after every possible
again,
path had ended.
and gave me the chance
I was
once
wrong
helped
to
give her
question your
mother.
honesty.
Thomas removed his
I
glasses
doubted
and
you
took
when
a
you
moment
needed
before
support the
continuing.
most, and
The
for
Grace
that,
Brooks
I am
Second Chance
truly
Fund
sorry.
exists because care should not depend
You
on
should
whether a
never have
frightened
needed
family
to
knows the
prove
right
your
person to
mother's
ask.
life
The door
mattered.
should already be open. When he stepped down, Annie embraced him carefully.
I paid the remaining
He
deposit
whispered near her ear,
and thought I had helped
"Your
only
mother should
one
have made
family
that
through
speech.
one
She would have
terrible
corrected
night.
yours afterward. I believe that.
The mother lived
Annie carried the old
17
receipt
more
to the podium.
years
The auditorium
and
seemed larger
raised
from the
a
stage,
physician.
but she did not feel small in it.
When his
my
own
mother
life
became
was
sick,
moving
she
quietly
said,
toward its
"I
end,
believed
the
money was
physician
the thing
came back,
separating her from
looked
life."
again, and gave him
That
the
night,
same
it
chance.
was. But over time, I understood there was another danger. People who cannot pay are often made to feel they must also prove they deserve care.
The fund
patience,
exists
and
because
respect.
care should
She
not
held up the
depend on a
receipt.
frightened
This piece
family
of paper
knowing
has
the right
Thomas
person
Whitmore's
to ask,
signature on it.
and the door should
My
already
mother
be
kept it in
open.
her Bible. After she died, I kept it because I thought
Your
it
mother
represented
should have
a
made
debt.
the speech.
I was wrong. It represents a choice.
I
He chose
carried
to
this
stop.
receipt for
He
20
chose to look
years.
again after doubting me.
Today,
He chose
we
not to let
finally
my mother
talk about
disappear
what it
behind
really
the balance
cost.
due. Her
I truly
eyes found
believe that
Thomas in
money was the
front row.
only thing
I
separating
promised
my
him I
mother
would
from
repay him
life.
someday. I
But we are
believe that promise
transforming
was
that
fulfilled
pain
when he
into
survived
testimony.
surgery.
People
But
who
kindness
cannot
is not
pay
repaid when
are
two
often
people
made
decide
to
they
feel
are
they
even.
must
It is
prove they
repaid when the
deserve
next person
care,
who is afraid and
patience,
alone finds
and
someone
respect.
willing to stop.
My mother
After the
kept this
ceremony,
receipt,
the
this
receipt
proof
and
of
Grace's
mercy,
note were
tucked
placed
inside
in a
her
small
Bible for
framed
40
display
years.
inside the new patient's
It is a
support
testament
office.
to her
Beneath
faith.
them was the name of the fund
I
and a
once
single
believed
lie.
this receipt
Because every
represented
life
a
is worth
debt.
stopping for.
But now
Thomas
I
stood beside
understand
Annie
it
as the final
represents
guest
a
moved
choice.
toward the elevators.
He
Do
chose
you
to
think your
stop,
mother would approve?
look again
He asked.
after
Annie
doubting,
looked at
and
Grace's
not let her
handwriting
mother
behind the glass.
disappear behind
She
a
would complain
balanced
that her
dude.
photograph was too large.
I once promised repayment,
Then she would ask where she
but
could
kindness
volunteer.
is not
Thomas
repaid
smiled.
when two people
Tuesdays, I
merely
believe,
decide
before
they are
Annie could
even.
answer.
Kindness
She heard a
is
young man
repaid
speaking at the
when the
assistant's
next
desk.
frightened and lonely
was
person
black.
finds someone
No more than
willing to
17.
stop.
Wearing a winter jacket too light for the weather. Beside him sat an older woman in a wheelchair, her face pinched with pain. "She's my grandmother," he told the navigator. "I don't know what these forms mean. She raised me. I can't just take her home sick." Annie went still. Thomas followed her
Do you think
gaze.
your mother would
He said
approve?
nothing. She
Yes,
walked toward
Thomas.
the boy and stopped beside
I think
his
she
chair.
really would have.
"What is your grandmother's name?"
Her mother
she
would
asked.
complain the
He looked up,
photograph was too
frightened
large and then
tired.
ask where she could
Lillian
volunteer.
Carter.
Tuesdays.
Annie held out her hand. "I'm Dr. Brooks. Let's
I don't
make sure Miss
understand these
Lillian is
papers.
taken
She
care
needs
of."
the treatment
The
today,
boy
but they
took
keep
her
saying
hand
this isn't
slowly,
filled out right.
as though he was not
me
used to
see
help
that.
arriving without a price attached.
I
Near
just
the
don't
entrance,
understand these
Thomas
sections, and
watched
she's
Annie
in
sit
pain.
beside him,
Are
not
we
above
approved
him.
for the new medication
Dr.
or not?
Parker came
Let
to
me take
stand
a
at
look at those
Thomas's
for you. We
side.
can figure this
"I
out
thought
together."
I helped one girl,"
She
he
raised
said.
me.
Dr. Parker smiled.
I
"You
cannot
did.
take her home
She just
sick."
brought the help back with her. Outside, snow began to fall over Chicago. Inside,
Hi there.
Annie opened the
Can
folder
you tell
in
me
front
your
of the
grandmother's
boy
full
and
name?
began reading through
It's
it with
Dorothy
him,
Mae
one
Johnson.
page at a time. The promise
Lillian
had
Carter.
not ended. It had found its
We
next
will
pair
make
of
sure
hands.
she is well
This story
cared for.
reminds us that
You don't have
kindness
to
is never
worry.
wasted. Thomas did not help Annie's mother because he knew Annie would one day
It's
become
okay.
a doctor or save his life. He helped
We'll
because
figure
a
this out
frightened
together,
daughter and a
all
sick
right?
mother deserved dignity and a chance.
Look at her
Years
with
later,
him. She understands.
Annie understood that
She truly
gratitude
does.
is not merely paying back the person who helped us.
We're in good hands now.
It is carrying that compassion
I thought
forward
I
to
helped
someone
one
else in
girl.
need.
You did.
Real justice
And she
often
brought the
begins
help
quietly,
back with her.
when one person chooses not to walk past another person's
This is where the
suffering.
pharmacy information
This video
goes.
is a work of fiction
What if the
created
first
with the
choice doesn't
assistance
have
of
it?
artificial
Then they'll
intelligence.
check with the
All
secondary option
characters,
listed right here.
events, and situations
This
are not
section
real
here
and do not
outlines the
represent any
assistance
actual
available.
people or true
If you
stories.
sign right
The
here,
content
we
is
can
intended
finalize
for
the support for
storytelling
your
or
medical
emotional
costs.
illustration only.